Good morning and welcome to Sewing Street on this gloriously icy, snowy day. What a lovely day it is. Do send us in pictures of your snow photos of you playing in the snow. Oh, I was so excited yesterday. I had got a puppy last year, my lockdown puppy, and she had her first snow day yesterday. So I think I was more excited than her to take her out in the snow, but she loved it. She was sniffing and jumping and biting all the snow. So send us in your snow pictures. I know it's a bit treacherous out there, but you stay in the warm, stay safe. And we've got 5 fantastic hours for you for all sorts of things. And we've obviously got yarn late today, even more exciting. So I'm going to start you off with a special early bird that's great. Now, this is really good when you're stuck inside. It's colouring in. Who doesn't love a bit of colouring in? But more exciting than colouring in, it's for fabric. So in this pack, you get a double felt tip. Oh, my mic's moved over. Is that all right? Sorry. Is that okay? Okay. You get 20 felt tips. Now they're double-ended, so on one end you've got the narrow, the thin, fine, and the other end you've got the thick. So one's for fine lines, one for thicker lines. But the best thing about these is that they're for fabric. So you draw whatever you want or you colour with it, leave it for, it says on the back, 6 hours to dry, and then you just press it on the reverse. Just until it's set, and then it's fully washable. So it's brilliant if you just want to maybe label a quilt or label something you've got, or maybe there's some areas, maybe you're making like dolls and you want to draw the faces, or maybe you want to colour in some canvas shoes. Brilliant for sort of mixed media as well. So if you're doing some embroidery, and there's some areas, maybe you just want to do outlining and you think, oh, I don't want to do all the satin stitch filling. You could do the outline with some back stitch. You could do some filling in then with these colours. Brilliant for children's clothes. When you get those lovely cream sort of cotton tote bags from supermarkets and things, you could just colour them all in and then create your own designs. So this pack is £9.99. So today you save £3. Which really, I mean, your P&P today is every day is £3.95. £3.95 every day, and you only pay it once. So how many times you buy or how much you buy, it's only £3.95. So your saving today is almost paying for your P&P. So should we have a go? I'll show you what it looks like. So as it's an R day, R for really snowy. I'm going to write my name. It's a special R day. Give me suggestions of what the R day is. I'm going to write my name. R is for Rebecca Reed. Or R is for relaxation. So that's the thick end. And then you can do the fine end. So that's much finer, depending on what you want to do. And look, and in here you get 20 colours. I quite like the fact that you get yellow as well, because if you were wanting to then, look at the lines on that, it shows up actually quite well on the white fabric, but if you were doing it on a navy or a charcoal or a black, that would show up really well. You get so many colours. Oh, Jeannie's just messaged in to say, morning, Rebecca, morning. And she's got these pens and they're amazing. They are actually, because sometimes when you draw on cotton fabric, it's not very easy. But actually, it does. Look, you can see that's the that was the fine one. That's very neat, isn't it? And this is the thick one. But it does. They don't drag on the fabric, so they'd look great if you were colouring in some like white canvas shoes. They're brilliant, aren't they? I love these. So if you've got any of our Colour Me In panels where the outlines are all printed, you can colour in with those. You can do them for so many things, but it's just great. You can put them in a 40-degree wash, colour fast. Light fast and water based, and there are all different colours. So you've got the black and the grey and the brown, and then you've got all the colours of the rainbow in between: yellow, 2 oranges, 2 reds, pink. Oh, a nice fuchsia colour. Let's forget that one. I like that one. Yes, there's the open set. That's nice, isn't it? Could draw a nice heart with that one. I'm not really very good at drawing, to be honest, but they colour in very well. So I would use these for embroidery, because sometimes, filling it in, particularly when you've got to fill in with satin stitch, you really don't want to. But look, once you've done that, fix it, and then you can embroider all over that. But when you're saving £3 off £12.99, that's actually a really good cost saving. Blue, you could do flowers. you could really oh, that's not a very good flower, is it? But you could really personalise all the things you've got. Brilliant. I mean, these, you know, they're not just colouring pens. I mean, they're ideal for children. Obviously, children would love doing this. They'd love to personalise their own T-shirts, presents for friends, all different things. But great for you too, for that kind of mixed media thing, or for labelling things, because you know that they're washable and they will stay. So, oh, that's a nice colour. That's like petrol. I like that colour, like a petrol grey. So that's the early bird for today. The pack of 20 textile markers, all the colours, including black, grey and brown, and all the colours of the rainbow. Double ending, so you've got the fine tip and the thick tip. Brilliant for all sorts of marking and mixed media. Look, and it didn't come through. I'll put the mat down just in case, but it doesn't actually come through. So there we go. So shall we have a look to see what's coming up today? So you need to stay inside, stay warm and stay safe, and stay with us for 5 fantastic hours. So at 8 o'clock, so in a moment, we've got the Moda Daybreak Quilt Kit. We've got Sallieann Harrison in today. She's going to show us how to make this beautiful quilt. This is an amazing quilt kit. It's great because it's got everything in it. There's the quilt finished, and it's got everything in it to make the whole quilt, including the binding. So, you know, if you want something, you want to make a really nice quilt, something really special, but you don't want to have to source all the fabrics, we've got what you want. And Sallieann's going to be showing us some really good tips and techniques of how to make it. 9 a.m, oh, I love Alison Glass fabrics, and we have got the Art Theory Alison Glass fabric launch. Oh wow, these fabrics are beautiful. The use of colour and print and design is just fantastic. You are going to love them. We've got panels, we've got it by the half metre, we've got mega bundles, we've got everything on the Art Theory. You'll really like that. It's very, very inspiring. Particularly at the moment, there's a big trend of all the rainbow prints, isn't there, and rainbow ideas, and this really hits the spot with that. Then at 10 o'clock, we've got EPP Hexie cushion. This is a wonderful panel because all the Hexies are already printed on it. So you haven't got to do any measuring or working out seam allowances. You just cut out all the Hexies. In the kit, you get all the paper pieces as well. And you can make, and this is one of those things, lovely slow stitching, the sort of thing you can get a nice box set. You can sit in front of the telly. It's perfect. But if you don't want to sew it and quilting is more your thing, we've got a way around it because we've got them pre-printed as well. Anyway, 10 o'clock, I'll explain all. Sallieann's back with us to show that. 11 o'clock, we've got lots and lots of different tools. A lot of them are my favourite ones as well, so I'm going to enjoy that because it's really nice to have the right tools for the job, and 11 o'clock we'll be showing you. 12 o'clock is Yarn Lane. I'm really excited by that. We are lucky enough to be launching the Natural Home collection from West Yorkshire Spinners. Now, this is a collection of yarn where they have created a whole host of patterns for home knitted items such as cushions and blankets and throws, using beautiful undyed Blueface Leicester yarn and Jacobs yarn. So it's amazing. It's the most beautiful quality, 100% yarn, and we have got some stunning things. I was so excited this morning because I've got all the knitted samples, but I hadn't seen all the yarn in the quantity we've got it. And it just looks, because it's natural and it's undyed, you can see, oh yeah, there's 2 cushions up behind me on the shelf. That's just 2 of the kits. So we're selling the pattern book where you get all the designs, but also all the most beautiful hanks of undyed luxury. And it's the launch. This is the day that this yarn is hitting the shops and we're launching it. So I'm very excited. So stay with us at 12 o'clock. So anyway, that's what's coming up. But this hour, we're going to be doing this beautiful Moda Daybreak Quilt. And it comes in a lovely box. There's the box. Shall we have a look inside? So it is designed by, it's created by Moda. And we all know, don't we, what amazing quality. I want to make sure I open this without... Oh, there we go. We all know the wonderful quality of Moda fabric, don't we? And this is designed by 3 sisters, Daybreak, and what they've done is they've tried to capture that moment between the sun just coming up and then the full sunrise, and it's those lovely sort of hues of navy and blush pinks, and in this range of fabrics that's in this kit, that is what they've captured. So inside the kit you get everything you need. So you've got full, oh, we're overhead now, we've got full instructions It is a beautiful, and it does really feel like that daybreak, doesn't it? Just as the sun's coming up, it changes from the sort of the deep navies to the blush pinks, and it just works very well. And then you've got the beautiful floral print. So all the instructions you need, including all the dye. And what's great is that all the fabrics, they tell you what the fabrics are with little pictures, and those are the fabrics you get in the kit. They're not substituted for something else. All very, very clear diagrams. So if you really fancy making a quilt, but you sort of think, oh, but it's quite difficult, I don't know which colours to choose and where to get all the different ones, this is all in there. The finished quilt is 64 by 80 inches. So in here, you get a thank you note. Thank you for choosing this. And then it comes in this lovely box which features round the sides some of the prints for the collection. But this is all pre-cut. It's all done for you. You know you've got everything. And the print, so this lovely floral print features these beautiful birds. So these obviously the birds as daybreak happens. I'm going to go through all of them. There's a lovely pink one. Beautiful blush pink. Really nice sort of olive background paisley. This really is just before the sun rises. You've got the dark blue with the paisley. It's beautiful floral print. There's absolutely loads in here. So for £129.99, you're getting all this fabric, and each one is different, and it's exactly what you need to make the quilt. Lovely mustard hue there, and that grey. So that's a real, you can really sort of feel the colours as they move up as the sun rises. And I'm not surprised they've called it daybreak. That's beautiful. It's got, this one features a lovely narrow pink stripe with a sort of the deeper coral leaves on. So it's all very sort of floral and natural. That one's beautiful. It's really sort of a mustard gold background with this just tiny ditzy floral print. But you can see some of the same colourways are getting repeated. But we often, you know, do instructions. We give you fabric packs, but we very rarely do the complete kit where the instructions and the fabric and the whole thing is cut for you. This one must be one of the background pieces. What's this one for, Sallieann? That's a very big piece.
No, you just use that in between places.
Oh, so this is quite, yes, this is used
so you
in,
get to see a little bird.
Oh, so where you've got some blocks
one,
are just one square of fabric, not pieced. That's why you've got such a big piece. But what's lovely about this is it's similar to the one at the beginning. It's a similar print, but it's got much. But the scale they've worked out, because these are whole unpieced squares, so you get a big piece of that. I love this deep navy. See, I wouldn't ever really think of putting the navy with it, but it works so well. Oh, there's a great big piece of that. So that must be for all the triangles around the borders. Yeah. There's a lot of that. But that really is, that's just before the dawn, isn't it? And then this is when the sun has actually risen. And you've got a lovely, another lovely navy one. I like that one. I wonder if that one's for the binding, because there's quite a lot of that one, because it does include the binding. I'll have a look in a minute. It's all in there. So what's lovely about it, as you can see as I'm going through, is they haven't just been cut the same quantity, they've been cut to exactly the quantity that you need for it. But the colour palette with there's lovely midnight navies and the blush pinks, and then it's a very naturalistic flowers and ferns and florals and birds. It's a most beautiful classic quilt. Anyway, that's the entire kit. So for £129.99, I think that is fantastic value. Right, just to let you know, we have less than 50 available. We couldn't buy as many as we wanted to. So if you do want this, I would suggest you put it in your basket and check out. But if you like the look of the range, if you type Daybreak into the website, we do sell some of these by the half metre. So if you've spotted one that you think, oh, I really like that, or if you want some extra for backing or to make some cushions, and we do sell it by the half metre as well. But this is a fantastic gift for someone as well. You know, someone who's got a birthday coming up or a special occasion who likes quilting. What a fantastic kit. You know, or someone you know, special occasion, like someone's retiring or something. What a brilliant thing. Say, right, now you're retiring, you can get into quilting. I'd love this kit. It is beautiful, and it is Moda. So you know, if you're giving it to someone else or just to yourself, it is top quality, beautiful fabric. Anyway, so that's all of that. We've also got some bundles of backing fabric. So if you, because it comes with all the top and the binding, but if you want to back your quilt, we do have some bundles of the backing fabric. So this is a beautiful one. This one, this is natural seeded. So it's a lovely, almost like a, it isn't calico, but it has that calico seeded appearance. So for $39.99, that's 6 meters. So that will be enough to back the whole thing because you'd need to join it down the centre. So that's enough. So you get a 6 metre bundle for $39.99. It's fantastic value. And it does obviously goes really well with the colourways. But obviously, you know, this is perfect for backing any quilt. That's just a lovely thing to have, isn't it? We also have dark grey. So if you wanted a darker background for your quilt, we've got a 6 metre bundle of the dark grey. Again, this is, you know, this is really good Rose and Hubble 100% cotton fabric, so very good quality because you don't want to use something cheap on the back of your quilt, but we've put this together because this is how much you need. So if you wanted the dark grey, and the other one we have is cream, if you want just a cream backing on it. It's very similar to the natural seeded, but just the natural seeded has that like little seedy fleck in it where there's just a plain cream. So we've just given you 3 options there if you want them cut. And remember, it will come fully cut as a 6 metre length. It won't come in bits, which is important because you don't want to have it in bits. And we also have, because you will need wadding, we also have wadding by the ½ metre. So you will, which is an 80-20, that's my favourite wadding. It's 80% cotton, 20% polyester, which gives it the strength, but it is a beautiful wadding to use. It's 244 centimetres wide, and you need 72 by 88 inches. So you'll need 72. What's 72 inches in centimetres, Kat? That's about 2 metres, isn't it? Well, 140, yeah, it's about 2 metres 10. So you will need to buy 2.5 metres of this for the quilt because of the width of it. Yeah. Oh, 182. So you need 2 metres. Gosh, I'll try and... If you put 4 units into your basket, you will then get this cut. And because of the width of it, you won't need to join anything. So if you put 4 units, that's enough to make this quilt. Okay. So, good morning, Sallieann.
Morning.
Well done for making it up this morning and this our treacherous journey.
Yeah, I was saying to you, wasn't I? I was like, oh, I lost the car a couple of times. It's like, oh.
Well, the motorway was fine,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
absolutely.
It
was just when you got off the motorway, you suddenly went, ooh, it was like a skating rink.
I think they must have lost the gritting lorries up here.
I think they probably have.
Anyway, we made it. We made it so that we're here with you this morning on your lovely snowy day. We're going to entertain you instead. So, where do you start? It's a big quilt. What did you do
I
to
must admit,
start with?
I opened the box. I saw the box first of all. The box in itself is like a gift,
Beautiful,
isn't it?
Beautiful
It's
box.
the sort of box that you're going to keep, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
Opened it up
definitely.
and looked at all those fabrics and I thought, oh my goodness, those fabrics are luscious and they are beautiful to work with. I mean, Three Sisters as a designer, I think they've been around since about 2005.
Okay.
They've been designing floral type prints and their prints are gorgeous.
They are really lovely, aren't they? They're really sort of considered as well, aren't they? Where the placement of all the different elements goes and the colourways and...
Yeah.
And I like the way that some of them, you know, with the background, they've put a stripe in. There's a lot of work and detail that goes into them.
Absolutely. And this is quite straightforward. And I would go as far as say this is beginner friendly, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you look at it, it's just one, it's called a sawtooth star block. These are called sawtooth stars. And if you look at it closely, all you're doing is alternating a sawtooth star with a plain, you know, with the feature.
Right, so you're not having to piece every single square.
No, there is one step up from, so this is just an ordinary sawtooth star. I can't see one that's, I don't know if you can see this one down here. This one's actually got a square and a square in the centre.
Yes,
so there is a different variant of this.
So it's quite a learning thing. You can start with cutting out one square and you can move up through it.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good to know, isn't it? And
then working your way out, you can say about the border.
Yeah,
and
is
the
that
border is a
half-square
little bit
triangles?
more challenging and uses templates. But I mean, if you've pieced all that middle, I would imagine you're probably ready for the next challenge.
And I guess all the templates are in here as well, aren't they? Oh, even better. Oh, so once you've done that, then the board will be easy.
And the border is just makes it, doesn't it? The border is magical.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
That sort of pink navy looks.
And it is very daybreak, isn't it? As the navy moves into the pink. I mean, it is a beautiful quilt.
Yeah, I think that would be what you would call a twin size. It probably fit a single bed.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that. I'm not being
would.
60 because it's 64 inches.
You know, I'm just thinking if you had a granddaughter, it would look.
Oh, it's or on a single bed in a spare room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful.
When the granddaughter comes to stay.
Yes, yes, one day. But it feels like, you know, one of those kind of.
I'm working my way towards a granddaughter. I can just keep dropping
Just
this
keep
in.
saying it. You say it often enough, it'll happen. But it's a bit like, you know, when you've seen the American films and they've always got beautiful quilts on their beds, haven't they?
Yeah.
That they've been around for centuries. That really is one of those.
Yeah.
If you buy 2 kits, you can make a double bed size ones because you could just repeat it, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. Absolutely. Lovely. Anyway.
So we've got less than 30 available now if you want to buy one. Yes, you could actually. If you did 2, you'd have a double bed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so where did you start?
The instructions, really good instructions. I would definitely walk your way through the beginning, you know, where it says about different fabrics.
Ah, okay.
Because some of them are very close in colour and, yeah.
So it'd be worth laying them all out and labelling them because they're called like A, B, C and put a label on them to start with.
So that you know what you're dealing with. And then when I'm sort of moving into page 3, it actually tells you which colourways to make.
Right.
So,
yes.
So I would stick with this because obviously the kit is worked out on making these in
because
specific.
there aren't the same quantity of all the fabrics. You've got to.
Yeah.
So it's worth identifying.
So don't go off
first.
piste and think, oh, I really like the navy with the so and so, because then you might find that you don't have enough left. So stick with the agenda.
Or mix your own plain fabrics in, and then you can make a much bigger quilt.
You could do.
But you'd have to really, as long as you calculated it, if you put some plains in or your own fabrics, then you could make it go further. But you'd have to plan that ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I've made one sawtooth star block. I don't quite know where to put it on here. Shall we?
That's lovely. We can see it.
Okay. In the navy and pink, because that was the one that really struck me.
Is that colourway 1?
So this is colourway 1.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I don't. So it's good actually that they've put the print in here. It's much easier to understand, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've cut out for colourway 2. So I'm just going to make a sawtooth star block in colourway 2. And I've cut all the pieces that they...
So on the instructions, I think this is worth mentioning. It says all seams are a scant 1/4 inch. And I know I've seen quite a lot of people ask questions about that.
People have a little bit of a meltdown, don't they? It's like,
So what does that mean as an expert quilter, Sallieann?
Technically, it means 1 thread off a full 1/4.
Right.
Smaller, yeah.
So how do you do that then?
But you just need to, it's ever so slight, and people tend to sort of like jump far to
like an 1/8.
Yeah, exactly. They jump towards the 1/8. It is only just off. So you would have like a 1/4 inch foot just slightly off the edge of your fabric if you've got a seam guide on it, like this one is.
And what's the reason for that?
It's only because you generally see it in quilts where there are a lot of pieces, because a lot of pieces, a tiny little error will multiply up to become a big error. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So just, you need to be almost like a thou off in this one, and then it all suddenly multiplies up.
Right. So by going just under that 1/4 inch.
Yeah. But for me, I mean, they say scant for this one. I would just go
You just did a 1/4.
Yeah, because I don't think that it's too heavily pieced. But
right, because of the plain blocks.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. So it's if you can just try and get...
I mean, you can test it out. Why don't you just make one block and then test it out? They're meant to finish at, I think, 8 inches.
8. Okay.
So if you made one, then you can see whether or not you need to adjust your scant 1/4. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you could. If you bought two kits, you can make a quilt and matching cushions. Probably a double bed quilt and matching cushions. I'm thinking I'd quite like that as a double bed quilt.
I would as well. It's lovely.
Beautiful. Right.
Anyway, so we're going to start off by making some flying goose units. They're, I don't know, here. And they actually feature just here in the block. So the block is made up of, it's got 4 corner squares, a central square, and then 4 flying geese units.
Okay.
Okay.
Why is it called a flying geese?
Because if you put, generally you see them in quilts and they're all going in one direction and they look like geese flying
like
south.
geese fly. Okay, I've always wondered that.
They do
I know
fly,
what I
yeah,
know what it is. I know it's like a rectangle with two
They
triangles.
do, it is south, isn't it? Flying south for the
Yes, for the winter.
winter, yeah.
Yes. So in theory, they're all sunning themselves at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take so this is a 2.5, 2.5 by 4.5 inch oblong, and attach a 2.5 inch square to start making the geese units. I'm just going to, I've pinned this right sides together and I've got a pencil line drawn across the back.
Oh, I guess it's, yes,
Okay.
it's probably worth drawing the line, isn't it?
Yes. So I'm going to chain piece these through.
I suppose you could break this down, couldn't you? That you do all the labelling, then you do all the cutting out,
Yep.
because there's quite a lot of cutting out.
Yes.
I quite like the cutting out though.
You like cutting it? I loathe cutting.
I do quite like it. I find it quite. Yeah, we should work together. I'm a bit bored then, but I actually quite like the cutting out because it's so methodical, isn't it? You have to, you know, especially when you get instructions like this where they say cut 2 8.5 inch strips, and then you can have them all labelled and all lined out. I quite like that.
I must admit,
I don't like cutting out dress patterns though.
Oh no, dress patterns are even worse.
I absolutely hate doing that, but I quite like, especially if I've cleared the table, because normally there's loads of stuff on my sewing table. If I've cleared it all or moved into the kitchen and I've got a lot of space, it's quite nice to do.
Right, I've got a 1/4 inch foot on here, which I need for later on, but if you had an open toe foot, that would be better at this point, because obviously you're going to sew both sides.
Right,
Both
okay.
sides of the line, so
So you draw the line down the middle,
Yeah.
and then you sew either side of it.
so you sew on the line, if anything, slightly towards the right.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see whether I've got this set up right. Ooh. Hang on, I'm running around with the.
Oh, so no, I thought you said you sewed. No, you sew actually on the line, right?
So I'm just going to do a few stitches into fresh air and put the next one in.
So what colour thread do you use for this? Because there's so many colours in here.
Yeah, I must admit I tend to piece all of my quilts, everything that I make, in grey or beige.
Oh, okay.
The whole lot. I've just got stacks, grey and beige.
Grey and beige, okay. Because it's difficult with something like this when
Yeah.
you've got navy and cream.
To make a decision, yeah.
Because it's not even if you can keep changing thread because you're using two colours. So grey or beige.
Grey or beige is my default.
Right.
You know, a 50 weight generally for piecing. 50 weight cotton.
Okay. It's just your normal, but a grey or a beige.
Yeah.
I like it. We sell quite a lot of packs of maybe the Orifil thread particularly, where you get, you know, a neutrals pack and it's all shades of whites to greys. That's really
Yeah, I
useful,
must admit, I
isn't it?
do love the colour packs as well. When you see the colour pack, ooh,
I
this is so lovely.
know. And then you're using grey or beige.
Yeah, I know.
But that's for later, isn't it? If you do top stitching and things.
Okay. So I'm just going to cut them apart.
They are very clear, aren't they? I'm just reading these while you're doing that. All the different colourways and how it works.
Right. Let's get the mat. Now I'm going to do something a bit weird here. So generally you'd cut those off and then push that back.
Right.
Well, I'm going to push mine back first because it helps me know where it needs to sit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah?
I've not done. That's a good idea.
I'm looking at making that sit exactly on top of that. And if I'd cut it off, I would have nothing to go by.
Yeah, no, I find that. I find when I press it open, it sort of then distorts a bit.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Okay,
I like
so
that. No, because
Gonna give it
I
a
must have
press.
been doing something the other day that I was doing these. I was doing half square triangles. And you haven't got anything to sort of follow.
No. So but this way.
So if you do it that way, then just make sure you cut the underneath bit off.
Yeah.
Because it does distort slightly otherwise, doesn't it?
It does.
The edges go sort of off square.
Yeah, you always seem to find that with flying geese blocks, don't you? That it
Yeah.
just warps a little bit one way or the other.
Oh, I know. I was doing some like attic windows where you have a mitered corner, and it was the same where I was doing a square onto a strip, and they did distort. Oh, I like that. That's a very good tip.
I'll just go behind them now and just clip off that bit.
Okay, so you just fold it back, cut it off.
So I'm going to line up, so this is just a 1/4 inch back there. Yeah, so I'm just going to take off the big bit.
Oh, and then that's nice and straight. Like that. So you do, oh yeah, 4 of those.
Yeah, these are my 4 flying geese units.
I like this, the small ruler that you've got. It's really useful, isn't it, for just cutting off little bits like this.
Yeah, you don't want...
I've only recently had a small ruler. I've had just a long one for so long, and then I thought, this is just ridiculous. I need a small ruler.
You do a cute little one like this with hearts on, don't you? This sort of size.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's
do.
really cute.
Have a look, Kat. Have we got it on the website? It's sold out. But they are just, you know, for big things, but for just cutting little bits or FPP, those are so useful. I've got a square one, the 6.5 inch square. I quite like that one.
Okay, so now I'm going to put the other 2.5 inch square on there. So I'm going to put it on the top right sides together, and then I'm going to sew down that line so that I can
okay, so you always do
fold
one
it back
and then
way.
the other.
Yeah.
Right. Nice. Did you make your pin cushion to match the fabric? Because it does match quite well, actually, doesn't it?
Now I've become obsessed with using Liberty scraps.
Right.
Totally obsessed, you know.
Well, that's because you can't throw them out.
So hence all the hair bands and yeah, I'm afraid so. It's become addictive.
I know I do keep, I'm not very good at keeping fabric scraps, but I do keep the Liberty ones. Oh, thank you. Christine says she loves my jumper and the quilt hanging. I'm very pleased with my jumper because I didn't think they'd have any R's. You know when you buy a new jumper and they don't have, or they have something personalised, they never have the one that you want. And they had one with an R. I thought, well, it was meant to be, wasn't it? And it was in the sale, just saying. It was less than half price, bargain, and it had an R on it. So what's your favourite, ruler? What's your favourite word begin with R? Ruler. Don't know.
Oh, something I should have mentioned, another top tip is I would definitely give your fabrics a spritz with starch.
Okay.
Starch makes a huge difference, honestly, with piecing.
Before you cut it out?
Yeah, before you cut it out.
So press it all, starch it,
yeah,
and then cut it?
Yep.
Do you have to press it after starching?
So I just generally open it out and then sort of waft the best press all over it and then throw it on the ironing board and
then press it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then take it straight from the ironing.
And why is that a good idea?
It stops the fabrics warping a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes them a little bit more rigid.
Right.
It depends how rigid you want to go. So, I mean, best press is sort of a light starch, but you could go heavy starch if you wanted to, and I sometimes do that as well. But I mean, don't go super heavy. I sort of like stand back with a spray can and lightly spray it. And then a lot of people complain that it comes off on their iron, that sort of starch. But if you wait, the key is to wait sort of, I don't know, a few minutes, a couple of minutes for it to sink into the fabric and then iron it, and it won't all peel off.
Right, okay, okay. So just wait for it to, almost like sort of some of it to evaporate and soak in. Okay.
You will get much
I'm
crisper
going to go that.
piecing.
I've not used that. So is it the lighter weight fabric that you would put more starch on?
Yes, yeah.
And I presume it washes out.
Yeah, exactly. Get this one in.
But the best press is good. It doesn't damage the fabric.
Oh, I love the best press. Yeah.
And it smells nice. Have we got any? We haven't got any in stock. Oh dear. When we get it back in, we'll have to see if we can persuade someone to do an early bird on it, won't we? I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. If we talked about it and said it's great, then I think we should do a special offer. Yeah, I think so. Well, I'll tell you why, because I'd actually like some. Yes, everything that I would like. In fact, can we do this quilt kit as an early bird? I don't think we're going to have any of these left, but I would actually really like this. It is beautiful. Oh, Sandra has asked, do we wash the fabric before you starch it?
I personally don't wash. I have made quilts since goodness knows when, 2002, and I can honestly say I do not possess a quilt with washed fabric in it.
Well, I'm the same, but
I do possess washed quilts.
But not,
not
I never
pre-washed.
pre-wash either. And the reason for that is I've done it once and it all comes out a bit frayy around the edges. And there's nothing nicer than working with brand new fabric and when it's been in the washing machine, it's not like this anymore, is it?
No, it's not.
And I do it just because I don't want to. So you're saying that, because I do wash my quilts after I've quilted them because it gives them that nice shrunky look.
To me, that is the best moment when you finished it and you wash it and you just get that scrunchy, lovely texture.
And I made one for a friend, and it was a baby quilt, and I'd had it quilted. I had it long arm quilted. What a treat to get someone to long arm. Oh, and it was beautiful. And then I washed it, and I was like, if this goes wrong, I'm just going to cry. But I put it on a cold wash in the washing machine, and it came up beautiful.
Yeah.
Just absolutely beautiful.
Little quilts, I often do that too as well, and I chuck them in the tumble dryer.
I didn't, because it said not to, so I was just too scared.
Throw it in the tumble dryer. Lovely
Did
texture.
you?
Yeah. Lovely.
I just hung it over the banisters because I was really scared because I'd spent so long on this quilt and then paid to have it long arm quilted, but I really wanted to wash it. But it was lovely because I used, this wadding, the 80/20, and
That's lovely wadding.
And it just shrank just that tiny amount, and it looked like it was all hand quilted. Oh, I was so excited. But I didn't even know that my washing machine had a cold wash function. And I thought, well, how is that going to get it? But it did make a difference. It was brighter and it looked cleaner, even though it was a cold wash.
I think I have had one colour run once, and that was red.
Oh, okay.
And I must admit, I was surprised. It was like, and that is only sort of in the last 12 months that I washed a quilt and one of the reds ran.
I did wash because this quilt I made was a penguin quilt with brushed cotton, and I did wash the black because there was a lot of white and pale colours, and I thought if the black runs, it's going to ruin the whole quilt. So I washed it, but it didn't run. But this 80/20 is brilliant. This is what I used it for the quilt. It's lovely.
Right.
Well, this is so wide as well, and it's good that you can get it just by the ½ metre because it goes so far as well. And I have used different ones, sort of high loft, because I thought, because it's quite a low loft, isn't it, that it would make the quilt would be thin, but it isn't. It's really weird.
Yeah, I do tend to like the lower loft ones because it gives a more vintage, antique-y look.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But that is a nice wadding.
Okay.
So you've made 4 flying geese
units, yeah. And now I'm going to assemble them. So this is something that I do all the time, like laying it out in front of me and moving, side to side so that I can chain piece, etc. That's what I mean. Laying it out is important. Sometimes I even have the instructions up in front of this, pinned on the wall.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So I just need to look up from the sewing machine. Does it look like that? Does it look like that one? Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so I'm going to piece them in rows. So I'm going to go across and across.
Oh, so Margaret's just messaged in, who's new to quilting. Can you explain what long arm quilting is? Long arm quilting is a magic thing. It's a magic thing. Well, if you're quilting something yourself, it's quite hard because it's hard to get it all into your sewing machine. A long arm quilt is actually a machine, which we have sold before, but it's a machine where the whole quilt is rolled on rollers, and then gosh, it's hard to explain. But how do you explain? It's got a really long arm on it, and then the person who quilts can either do it by hand and they can move it around and quilt it, or you can set it to do a certain pattern. But basically, it's a very professional way of quilting something. You can buy your own long arm quilter; they're quite expensive, or you can send it off to somebody, like I did.
Okay, I have managed to unthread the machine.
Sue says she's got a foot of snow and huge icicles. Where does Sue live? Wish I'd had a foot of snow and huge icicles. Ours is just about, well, yesterday it was starting to melt, although it did snow in the night. So I was quite excited this morning. There was a little bit more. Oh, Cat made a snowman. But it was -4.5 this morning when I was on the motorway. -4.5. I don't think I've ever seen that on my car before.
Well, mine was -2.5 when I was in my driveway this morning.
Yeah, it was
de-icing it.
But when I came into Reddit, it was -4.5. Mad. Wow.
Okay. Don't know how I managed
So
if
you've spent some time creating a quilt and you want that, because the quilt that I'd made, I wanted that sort of all over quilted pattern. I didn't want sort of quilted round areas. I wanted an all over, and the only way to do that really, you can do it yourself, but if you send it off to a long arm quilter. If you don't like the quilting, which to be honest I don't, I love the patchwork, but I'm not a massively keen quilter. I like hand quilting, but I don't really like machine quilting. It's worth it sending it off to somebody and it comes back.
It is a magical moment when it comes back.
Oh, I was so excited.
Because you send it off and it's just like a piece of flat
Well, I
paper.
sent it off to Amanda, who we used to work with.
Oh, Amanda's, yeah, she's fantastic.
Well, I sent it to Amanda and she said, choose the pattern that you want. This is a friend of ours who owns a long arm quilting business. And I was just so excited when it came back. It was amazing. She quilted all little stars all over it. It was just lovely. And the long arm quilter will tell you how much backing fabric you're wadding, or they provide it for you, which she did. No. Oh, Bev sent us a picture of the snow in her back garden. Show us them. Wow, look at that. Where does she live? Oh, I would like breakfast. That's really nice. Beautiful. Oh, Andrea's asked which is a low loft wadding. Well, this is a low loft wadding because it's quite thin. Well, some polyesters are low loft, some are high. Depends on the ounce of it and how thick it is. But this is a low loft. If you have a high loft wadding, you just get a sort of a more squishier, puffier look. But this is a low loft. And it's been formulated that it is a cotton polyester mix because it gives it a bit more strength. $6.99 for a half metre. I'm going to show you. Shall I show you? Now that's half of it, okay? And this, oh, actually, I'm just get my glamorous assistant one moment with a glamorous leopard skin face mask on. Look at that. Look how wide that is. That's massive, isn't it? There's not many quilts, and there's nothing worse than having to join wadding. Don't like doing that. But with this, you don't. So this is $6.99 for half a metre, and you can use it either way depending on, so work it out what you want, because it's not woven, so it can go either way. You can choose. So if you're doing depending on the width, calculate it so you don't have to buy more than you need. But it's quite useful to always have a metre of this anyway, because it's a low loft. It's really good for things like tote bags and cushions, but also if you're making like a cosmetic bag or even a wash bag, it's quite nice to put that in. It gives it a bit more padding and protects it. And then even if you're doing a wash bag, you could put a waterproof lining in. You can buy waterproof fabric, or you can buy a very cheap shower curtain. If you buy a very cheap shower curtain, don't ever consider pressing it. I've done that. Melts. Even if you put fabric on top of it, whereas the waterproof fabric doesn't. But it just adds that just a little bit of extra, just oomph. Are you all right, Sallieann, with the machine?
No, I'm having
What's
some
happened?
sewing machine issues.
Sewing machine issues?
Yeah, so it's
is it
gone
all
crazy on the bottom. I've had to re-thread it a couple of times.
There are some threaded bobbins in the case.
I think the bobbin's okay. It's just
the top.
It's the top. It's either, I don't know whether...
Maybe it's affected by the cold weather. Just doesn't really want to sew.
I can show you the block though. Let's ignore it. And
We've only got
give
about
it a
5
press.
minutes left anyway. We'll have to have a sewing machine sort out. Well, no, it doesn't matter actually because you're doing EPP in the next one, aren't you? So.
Yeah.
So you sew the top and the bottom to the centre square.
Yeah. So you've got, this is the middle band. This will be the top and bottom. So
and do you press those
set it.
seams? How do you decide? You know when they always go press to one side. I have struggled with this. Which side?
Okay, so I've pressed those out. So I would press the top ones in so that they would nest.
Right, okay.
It's up to you. I mean, you could press it in. It might sit better slightly in, but I've pressed it out now. So, and I tend to find that once you've pressed it one way, there's no way it wants to go back the other way. So it's just like make a decision on one and then just go with it.
Okay.
So, yeah, because you want those seams to nest together.
I do like the navy in it. It's interesting actually when you look at the finished quilt because the stars that have got lots, actually the one that you're doing has got, or no, the one that you've done as a full navy square star, they really stand out, but they're sort of positioned in a way that they don't dominate. I really like them.
Yes.
Have we got any of these left yet, Kat, so that I can have one? We have got a few left, but if you do want one, they are going very fast. Could you please leave me one? But like this one, I could just have this one, couldn't I? People are buying multiples. Well, I would buy 2 because I would really like a double bed quilt from this. Look really nice on my bed. I might have to measure it because I've got a Super King bed, so maybe might need more than that. But I could mix some other fabrics in because if you wanted to work it out, there is a picture, well, a really, the good picture on the front. So you could draw it out and think, well, I'm going to substitute that fabric for that. And then that would give you more use of the beautiful fabrics. You could put some of your own plains or prints in that you've got to go with it and just repeat the pattern. So you could make 1 or 2 kits, go a lot further. Yeah, you are getting lots of fabric. We should have worked it out, shouldn't we? How much fabric you actually get.
Yeah, I thought that when I opened the box. I thought, I wonder how much is here because it looks.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does say like, so you've got 1 1/4 yards, 5/8, 3/4, 1 1/4, 1 1/8, 1. There's loads, but it's nice though that there's some fabrics that you just get the fat quarter. So to buy all of these yourself would be tricky to get the right ones, but then other ones that the need. Oh, so one of them is a yard, and that includes the binding. And with it, it's quite nice to get the binding because quite often with kits, the binding doesn't come in with it, does it? And then you have to choose something. Oh, Jane says it's sunny in Chichester and no snow. That's awful, isn't it? My daughter's in Exeter at the moment, and there's no snow there. She was devastated. I said, you have to come home. We never get snow in the West Country, but yesterday we did. And then one of my sons in Leeds, and he didn't have any snow, and I think he was really hoping for it. You think being up north, didn't have any? No. How are we getting on then?
I think
so
we
you've done
solved
one
it.
side. Is it working again?
Yeah.
Oh, you've mended it. Yeah. What was it? The top thread?
Yeah, I think so.
Just.
Okay, so I'm going to nest the seams. You can see. So I put a pin in where they nest.
Ah, so Pat has messaged in to say, morning ladies.
Morning.
Do you think Sewing Street will ever send long arm machines? Well, we have done them in the past. Actually, I think that was quite early on when we were quite new. They are amazing. I think we should get them back. So we'll have a word. As the same time that we get the best press on Early Bird, we'll have a word with them about the long arm, because actually a lot of people, like Amanda, who did my long arm quilting, she started off as a quilter and then she bought her own long arm quilt and she's got a whole business now. You do need a bit of space, But you know, if you love making quilts, it is something worth having. And some people really enjoy it. I mean, if I had a long arm quilting machine, I would enjoy it, but wrestling with a big quilt under your sewing machine is not the easiest thing. I actually know my least favourite thing of the whole thing is layering the quilt. I bet nobody likes that. I really, really hate that.
I employ my lads to help me do that. They have basted so many quilts, it's unbelievable.
I just really struggle to get the whole thing sort of straight.
Yeah.
To get the edges straight.
I always say that basting is best done with a friend, and it's generally got to be a good friend, because you're constantly going, you've got a it's there, yes, there's the ruffle. No, it's over there.
Yeah,
Pull that bit, move that bit.
Oh, it's a horrible, horrible job. Whereas if you send it to someone else, they do all of that for you. Highly recommend it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay, so that's the A one. That's the simplest one.
That's the simplest one. Now I've cut out. The other one is this one.
And then, so there are only 2 blocks
yes.
then?
Apart from the border. So you can see that they're identical apart from the centre.
Okay.
Where you do a square and a square. And just to give you, I won't do it, but I'll just show you.
And it's nice that they've actually chosen or told you where the fabrics go. So
yeah,
you know that all the scales work.
Yeah, this is colourway.
Which one have you got there?
Don't know, which one have I got?
I think you might have colourway 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's good though, isn't it, that you start off cutting out. So if you've not done rotary cutting before, by the time you finish this, you'll know how to rotary cut brilliantly.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done flying geese, then you know. And then, so you're kind of building
your skills,
set,
yeah. So
you?
Yeah, because you've learned how to do a square and a square flying geese unit, and you've learned how to nest seams.
And it does really explain all of it as well.
And it's not too small a block either.
No, that's true. With an 8-inch block, it's
quite a manageable size.
Not on a 4-inch difficult one.
So for the square and the square, the way that they do it in the pattern is they actually use half square triangles, which they then, if you can imagine it, I'm going to put, actually have I got time to sew these on?
Yeah, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Got a message from Angie.
Morning, Angie.
Her son is digging out the car.
Digging it out, good grief.
Oh, because she's got to go to the next way because she slipped and hurt her wrist. And now he's having to dig out the car. No. That's not good, is it? That isn't good. Well, I hope it goes well. Hope it goes well. I hope he gets the car out for you. Tell him to keep the engine running before you get into it so it's nice and warm. Actually, this morning I left my engine running for about 5 minutes and then it was 4 o'clock and I thought, I wonder how many neighbours I've woken up.
Yeah, I must admit, I was stood there on the drive.
And then when I got here, my husband said
I'm popular.
He said that he heard me driving down the road and it sounded like I was driving over broken glass. I thought, I bet they'll love me when I come home today. Who's leaving at 4 o'clock this morning?
Okay, so you add them to opposite sides to start off with. And then just sew
them.
them.
So you sew a triangle to each side?
Yes.
Each.
There are other ways of making a square and a square. Namely, starting with a bigger square and then using smaller squares around the outside edge.
But I guess that uses more fabric.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. But although that is potentially easier to keep the centre square, you might run out of fabric.
Yes, so don't do that. Do it like they've said.
Yeah, do it exactly like they've said. So I'm going to line this one up.
Yeah, because they've worked it out. Yeah. I guess,
Can you see you've got like the 1/4 inch there, just here? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So it's all worked out. I wonder how much extra sort of whether you get much left over.
I don't know.
You must do. Because they must add an allowance for trimming. When you're cutting that many strips from a piece of fabric, you need to square up every now and then. What I like in the borders, which actually doesn't show on that quilt there, is that the corners of the borders, they've got a really nice shaped piece.
Yes.
So they haven't just put a square in the corner, they've got this shape piece, which you can see on the front. I have no idea what that shape's called. It looks like a tie, you know. Can someone let me know what that shape's called? I don't know what it is. It's like, she'll come in close in a minute. You see in the corners here, I'll move it over a bit. Yeah. It's like a kipper tie.
Kipper tie.
But there's probably a special name for that shape, like a rhombus or something, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, here they are. So that is your square and a square.
Oh, okay.
That's the only difference
And
between
other
the
than
star
that,
blocks.
that then ends up the same size as the whole square.
Yes.
Perfect.
Here are the pieces for your border. So I started making...
It's a kite. Christine says it's a kite. Not a tie. It's a kite. Okay.
Started to make the border. So you need to make some templates. And I'm a fan of the freezer paper.
Oh, yes.
So I made freezer paper templates directly from...
So you traced these
I
on
traced
freezer
it off.
Freezer paper is available on the website.
Yeah, traced it off onto freezer paper, made the templates A, B, C, D.
Pressed them onto the fabric.
Pressed them onto the fabric and cut them out.
Oh, okay. Right. So what colour backing would you choose then, Sallieann?
Backing? Ooh, oh no, I definitely go cream. Oh. Yeah, I think I'd go cream.
Okay.
Isn't one of them you said was got a little bit of
Well,
a
there's
snub in
this
it?
one that's got, it's got like a natural fleck in
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'd go for.
Yeah, I really like that. That is really nice, isn't it? Because it's not like a calico, it's not stiff, it's normal cotton, but it's quite natural, isn't it?
If you were going to quilt it as well, I mean, for a beginner, if you wanted to, I suppose it is quite big, isn't it? It's quite long.
Yeah.
Depends how ambitious you were feeling, because you could just stitch in the ditch.
Just round the squares. How would you quilt it?
I would use like a all over stipple.
Right. I'd send it
Because
off
I like
to
that.
someone else to do. But if I was going to do it myself, I would just probably quilt around each big square.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, or you could just cross hatch it. I mean, that would be a
yeah,
way of doing
actually,
sort
yes,
of
you
diagonally.
could. Yes, you could. That would, and that's quite easy, isn't it?
Yes, that would work as well. That's another tip is I often draw with a Frixion pen, I must admit, on the back of my quilts, the quilting design.
Okay, and then do it from the back.
Do it from the back.
Yes, that's which if it's an all over and you're not matching ditches and things. Brilliant idea. Well, thank you so much. That was fantastic. It's really nice. I think anyone having watched your demo think I could do that.
Yeah,
I really could do that.
It's very doable.
I feel like I could do that. So, you're coming back for some EPP with us.
I am, yes.
Great, so I like EPP. Or cheating EPP.
Cheating EPP.
Cheating EPP and real EPP. So we'll see you have a cup of tea. Think of me having a cup of tea. So there are a few left of this kit, luckily. Just don't have all of them. Remember, you are getting everything. I read out to you. They're all different measurements, it's from 1 1/4 yards down to a fat quarter. All, you know, there's even 3/8 of a yard. So they've really worked it out exactly. There are quite a lot of fabrics. How many's A to T? S, T, W, X, Y, Z. So there's 22 fabrics. No, I did. The difference between T and Z was 4. And 26 minus 4 is 22. Well, S, T, W, X, Y, Z. So that's 4. And 26 minus. So it's 22 fabrics. And they're beautiful, aren't they? What I like is that they've got their different scale of prints as well. Let me just move the box out of the way so you can see. So you've got, you know, the cream background and the pink background and then the blue background. But then different...
The stripe is for the binding.
Oh, the stripy one is for the binding. That's a really nice scale for binding though, isn't it? It is very small. But it is very Daybreak, isn't it? And I love this one. So this is for the feature squares. Look at the print on this one. And the feature squares, yeah, they just go... Well, it's not for all the feature squares. Some of the features... But look at these beautiful birds. If I knew more about birds, I'd tell you what they are, but I don't. I love the... I don't wonder what sort of birds they are. You've got like little pairs of birds. It's really pretty. But you've got these sort of cream ones, and then you've got this other one that's a smaller scale of that. Is this the one that's... is that the one that's used for the other large squares?
Yes.
Oh, that's used for some of them. So
Yeah.
you've got the large scale birds and the small scale birds. for some of them. And
Yeah.
then I think that this one
That one.
is for the other squares.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 that you'll use for the whole unpieced squares. And they're all, and look how well they go together. So they're all the sort of, they're the same berries and flowers, but in different scales. And then you've got this lovely blush pink. And then you've got the nice rich gold. I'm sorting these now. Like a bit of sorting. Yeah, so if you get yours in this colour sorted order, it will be this one. If I haven't run off with it, that is, which I'm quite tempted to go. Yeah, I'm afraid I've sorted this one, so we can't sell it. Honestly, if I took home everything that I liked on this show, we'd have no stock and I'd have no space.
You just need a bigger handbag.
I would just need I know. All I need is I just need a bigger handbag, that's all. Yeah. The problem is, I think where my mistake is that I often mention I like it, so everyone will know where it's
so
gone.
everyone knows when you're walking out with this bulging handbag.
I like the 2 paisley prints as well. I think
Yes.
they're a really well. There's 3 of them in the sort of olive, blue, and navy.
Yeah.
But they just add a different sort of texture and
They do.
dimension and feel to it. So you've got all the lovely florals, but then I think with the paisley it goes really well together. It is a beautiful collection of fabrics. And remember, you're getting all 22 for 120.99, and the instructions and the box, more importantly. And we've worked out you need 2 meters of wadding and the 6 meter bundle of the backing fabric, and you're all done. You're all done. That's your whole quilt. Buy 2, make one for your double bed. Right, so there we go. I've got to try and get those back in the box. So, after the break, we have got Alison glass, which I've got in front of me here. And I'm not going to talk about it now because I'm going to talk to you about it at the break. But it is lovely, so don't go anywhere. Make yourself a cup of tea. Come back and see me in a couple of minutes and we'll be talking Alison glass. Thank you.
Hi, I've been asked to do a little bit of an introduction about me, so here goes for Sewing Street. I'm Sallieann Harrison. I'm based in the UK in Bristol. I lived here all my life, apart from a short stint in North Carolina where I lived for 3 years from 2000 to 2003. I specialise in patchwork and quilting. I'm a complete patchwork and quilting addict. I love small piecing, I love wool applique, all forms of applique, and I also like making small little crafty projects. How did I get into sewing? Well, I've sewn all my life. I remember the first thing I ever made was like a little bikini top from one of my mother's old overalls when I was about 9. I got married when I was about 20, 21 and started making curtains at that time. So I was a curtain maker for a long period of time. But it was in 2000 when I moved to the US that I really got into quilting big time. I discovered a local patchwork and quilting store. I took classes. I made loads of quilts. I made some fantastic friends. I met a great tutor called Michelle May. And by the time I left, I was actually beginning to exhibit in 2003. So that's how I got into doing what I do. Tell us something unexpected about yourself. Well, one of the strange things about me is that I'm the world's worst knitter. I can do most crafts. I crochet, I do punch needle, I do obviously patchwork and quilting and dressmaking, but knitting, the pins go in all sorts of weird directions. I have to concentrate. If anybody rings the doorbell, I can't stop mid-row. I am the world's worst knitter. Sewing tips to share with viewers. It's got to be the beard trimmer trick. I mean, why use an unpicker when you can use a beard trimmer to take out the seams that you've sewn incorrectly? It's just the best tip ever, I reckon. And a claim to fame. Probably my claim to fame based on my sewing career was that in 2017 I was invited to the Houston Quilt festival, the International Quilt Festival, and it was there that I demonstrated some wool applique. It was a fantastic experience, and if anyone's debating going to the International Quilt Festival next year, go. It is absolutely fabulous. And that's a bit about me. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello and welcome back to Sewing Street. So this, on a very cold and snowy and icy day, even if you haven't got the snow, you've probably got the cold, this collection is going to warm you up. I love these fabrics and it's great at the moment. There is so much rainbow fabric up there. I was having a look at the day on various websites at jumpers. That was for Yarn Lane. And so many of the knitwear that's around at the moment is all rainbow colours. It's beautiful. And this collection of fabric is fantastic for that. Alison Glass is renowned for her choice of colour as well as print and the way that she combines them together. I know her, and you probably know her, for her Sun Prints collection, which she does, she brings out all the time in different colours and patterns and range, which we have got some later. I'll show you. I use her Sun Prints quite a lot, but this is her art theory. It's a collection of fabrics that is taken sort of partly from her Ex Libris collection, if you know that, and she does beautiful panels with big circles, and some of them are night and some of them are day, and the whole collection of fabrics are a mixture of night and day. So to start with, is everything we could get our hands on. We have got in this bundle 9 meters of fabric. So you've got 18 half meters and you only pay for 17. So you get half a meter fabric for free. So this really is the most beautiful quilt. Or this is add it to your stash, use it all the time because it is stunning, or you just want to get your hands on this Alison Glass because it is beautiful. So shall we have a look at them? So you've got some, move my books out of the way. Now, all of these fabrics, I'm going to show you the whole bundle of the 18 different fabrics, but these are available by the half metre. So you can either buy the bundle where you'll get half a metre for free, or if you want to buy them individually by the half metre, say, you know, for example, this is one of the plainer ones. This is just a lovely charcoal grey with a nice arrow print, black print on it. And what I like about this is it's not printed straight. So when you're cutting out, it's really hard when you're cutting straight lines and you've got to follow it. This is sort of printed, so you've got angles and different stuff all over the place. So even if you cut it slightly off, it doesn't matter. So it's a really good low volume print that's just got a bit of interest. That's why I use Alison Glass, because it's really good for that sort of thing. So maybe you want to buy 2 meters of one of them. The way we work, if you're new to Sewing Street, is that we cut the fabric to order. We don't pre-cut. So if you order 2.5 meters, you put 5 in your box, in the box, because you do it in half meter increments, and then we will send it to you as 2.5 meters because we do cut to order. So that's if you want that, but obviously in the bundle you're getting half a meter of each because they are pre-cut. But if you order, you want more. Look at this one. This is beautiful. Now I don't know whether this is going to show up on the camera, but you've got these stunning bright butterflies, but the background is actually like it is black, but it's also got a black print on top of it. So it's not a plain black background. It's got a beautiful print with these beautiful butterflies. Now that's the night version, but we also have that in the day version. Look at that. So you can probably see better with this one how this is an ivory background with a sort of a deeper cream pattern. If you get really close, you can see it, and that's the same with the black one, which doesn't show up as well on camera, but this beautiful vibrant butterflies with jade and fuchsia and gold and mustard. That's lovely. So this fabric, ideal for using, you know, as a whole fabric, but also the individual butterflies, beautiful for fussy cutting or EPP, or if you just want a feature, maybe you want to just make a little bag and you want just a butterfly in the centre. They're spaced far enough apart for that. I'm going to fold it back up because it's so lovely. So it's lovely that these are in pairs. The nice day, I'll say that and then I'll find that they're not all in pairs. So this is the night version. Ooh, This is my favourite one. Look at that. In fact, I think it warrants a complete open. Not all of them do, but I think that one, I'm going to hold it up for you. Look at that. So from a distance, when you're looking like that, it looks like stripes, which it is, stripes of colour. But when you get in really close, you can see it isn't stripes as such, because the colours meld from one to the other. They sort of organically move. So the blue organically moves into the violet, which moves into the red. And then if you look really closely, you've got moths, butterflies, strawberries, green strawberries and red strawberries, and flowers. And it is absolutely stunning. Even mushrooms, psychedelic red mushrooms. But isn't that stunning? Just think of all the things you could do. You could use it as stripes. So, I mean, this, obviously, remember, all of these fabrics available by the ½ metre or mega bundle. Get it all, because clearly it's hard to choose. I'm going to open up. So that's the dark one. One moment, because I want you to see them together. You see how stunning they are. Now, this is the day version. Can you imagine making a bag out of one of these? Do you need a backpack? I'd make a tote bag out of one of these. Do you know, something as simple, something really simple like a tote bag, because the simplicity of the design against the complexity of this fabric, it's beautiful, isn't it? And the two work really well together. But don't the prints look different? Really different. The white stands out a lot more, and so you can see the actual prints like the strawberries and the mushrooms. With the black it goes back again, but it's just stunning, isn't it? I just love the way that the colours from a distance look like stripes, and then when you get up close they are all joined in together. I mean, Alison Glass is a genius at colour, isn't she? Absolute genius. But it's very refreshing, isn't it? It's very modern and vibrant without it being sort of modern geometric, but it's it just has that really sort of contemporary vibe, using all these beautiful, and rainbows are very on trend at the moment. So this is, I mean, you know, they're significant for all of us at the moment. You know, they symbolise hope, joy. We've only got 4 fabrics into this collection. We need to probably move on. I'll get told off in a minute for talking too much. Look, I folded them all. So then we've got this one. I love this one. This is a bit like colouring in, isn't it, this one? But if you know Alison Glass and you know her Sun Prints collection, she always has prints where some of them look cross-stitched, some of them look embroidered. And this one is, she's got crosses, she's got running stitch, she's got some back stitch in here. But then that's the night version. And then this is the day version. But, you know, if you want, this would be fantastic for a backing, wouldn't it? If you're making something where the backing might be seen, you know, if it's a quilt or a cushion or something where you're going to see the backing, this is just beautiful, isn't it? But this does lend itself to embroidery. So if you were going to make something for this, say you just made something as simple as the centre panel of a cushion, you could actually embroider on top of it as well. And then, but not all of it. You could say, right, well, I'm just going to embroider the red lines, and then you'd get certain areas that would stand out. And because it's actually got the running stitch printed on it, it's almost like an embroidery print fabric. I love that. I can't really decide whether I like the night or the day in either of these, because they have a very different feel to them. But if you were going to make a quilt, I mean, I'm thinking of the quilt that we've just done, you know, wouldn't it look fantastic in these fabrics? And again, I mean, I think that's something that people struggle with. I definitely do. Choosing fabrics that go together. Well, you know that all of these do. So this one, again, has got that, that's got that stripe to it, but again, in the same way as the first one, the second one I showed you, the colours do go together. So you have got the whole group. And it's quite nice as well. It's not organised in rainbow colour either. It's just arranged in sort of greens going into yellow and gold and orange and pink. It feels rainbow, but it isn't that traditional rainbow. And then this is what it looks like in the day version. completely different, doesn't it? Let me just pull them over. The colours look completely, they are exactly the same colours. This is the strange thing. Exactly the same colours, but they look very different, but they go together. Make the most beautiful summer dress. Wouldn't that make the most amazing summer dress? Actually, if I was going to do it, I think I'd have the black version, because it would look really lovely, wouldn't it? You could imagine a summer dress in that. It's beautiful, and you could do it either way. You could do it. So the just to show you, so you know, the stripes run horizontally from selvage to selvage. Obviously, you can use it either way, but if there's something you're planning to do with that, remember the stripes run horizontally, which I have to say is unusual. Most often when you have striped fabric, the stripes run vertically. So it's quite nice when they run the other way, just for a change. So this one is quite different because it goes, this is your sort of your blender. This is the one that will match in with the others. It looks a bit like sort of concrete, doesn't it? You've got the black with the grey crosses and then the grey with the darker grey crosses. But this is your blender. This is what you might use if you were going to make a quilt and you wanted to put some borders or sashings or bindings, or you wanted to have a background. That's the fabric you would use for that. It goes really well with that. And also the great thing about it is that because it's dark and neutral, it makes the bright ones, the fabrics like this, it makes them stand out and sing and shout for themselves. So it's a perfect combination. It's lovely that they're in the bundle with these. Then we've got two more blenders as well, but this one is sort of a creamy beigey background, and then this one has got a charcoal background, but it does feature the same prints that are in the others. So in this fabric here, it's got some of the same elements that are in it. So it's got, you see these sort of balls with the grid on them. They're featured in here. Yeah, I don't know whether they're disco balls, pineapples, but it all echoes, it goes together, it blends beautifully. But look how well something like that stands out against that blender. Oh, it's just lovely. It's just lovely. Right, I need to put that one back because I had them in order. Right, now we're back into the brights. These are lovely, real like arrows. Actually, it's probably got a name. And usually they're on the selvage. This one is called something feathers, that bit's cut off. Feathers, it's called. Maybe let's have a look on that selvage. You know when you get the bit cut off? It's called Spectrum Feathers. So that's what this one looks like in the two. Let me just fold it so you can see the two colourways together. There's the light. There's the day. Ooh. They're beautiful, aren't they? There's so much you could do with it. Even, you know, something as simple as a little zip pencil case would just look really stunning in that. You know, because it doesn't have to be. It's, you know, they're adult prints, they're children's prints, but they're very contemporary and they're just beautiful rainbow colours without being your traditional. There is no sort of red, orange, yellow, green in here. There's more a bit of red and then a cerise and then an emerald and a raspberry and a mustard and gold. So it's a slightly different take on the rainbow theme, which is so symbolic at the moment. And those... And then the final two from the mega bundle, where you get one of these for free, you can choose which one you think is free, is this lovely star print. This one is called Abacus Star. It's very much a patchwork pattern, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful? But again, you know, look how different they look. Exactly the same colours, it's just the background. So every fabric that we have in this bundle has its partner, has its little friend. Except for the first one, which has got the arrows on, but all the others, they're in pairs. So they work really well together. Perfect if you want to pair together something for the outer, something for the lining, but you want to go. Or if you're adding a border, if you want to put sort of borders around something or a sort of a strip, maybe like a facing or something, then you've always got the two that go together. But if you've got quilts, maybe things like log cabin where you have to use, I mean, these are perfect for log cabin. You have half of the log cabin that's dark and the other half that's light. So these go amazingly well together. So if you wanted to make the most stunning rainbow quilt in a very simple log cabin design, this is the bundle for you. So we will be selling them, well, we are selling them by the ½ metre as well. But we'll go back to them by the ½ metre so we can just run through them again. But that is your mega bundle where you get 18 ½ metres, so 9 metres of total fabric of beautiful quality Alison glass fabric, and one of those ½ metres is totally free. So we've had a message in from Jill who says, oh, this is a picture of something where she's used the panels. Wow, Rebecca, I love Alison glass designs and thought you might like to see what I've made with some of the panels. Jill from Melton Mowbray. Oh, nice. They are beautiful, Jill. They are stunning. I love the fact you've made a bag, you've made a quilt. They're really nice, really versatile. They've been very popular when we've had them before, but look at those beautiful things that Jill have made. So these panels, oh, these are lovely, lovely. Now, wouldn't they look beautiful teamed with the ½ metre fabric? So on the panel, so if you look behind me, I'll go and get it. Shall I go and get it? Because then you can see it better. So these are ones that we've made in the past. There's a cushion that's used one of these. And then the plain fabrics are just the Rose and Hubble fabrics. And this one as well. So that's what it looks like when you start mixing it with cream fabrics. They look beautiful, don't they? I'll just put these over here. So on the panel, they are huge. For $9.99, you get 2 of these. They're identical. So you could use them, you know, if you could use them just in the centre of the quilt, just one in the centre, you could use them. Brilliant for the centre of a table if you've got a circular table, or you could use them to piece with other pieces beside them. They would look lovely as a nice big sort of a floor cushion size. If you put some borders around it, it's really squishy, beautiful as a wall hanging, really sort of contemporary art. Do you know, you could just stretch this around a board. You could just stretch it around 4 pieces of wood and then you could make it into beautiful wall art. If you could find an embroidery hoop large enough, maybe it'd have to be a quilting hoop, you could put it in that. But it would make, you know, just a small wall hanging, make the most beautiful piece of wall art. But what would be good if you like embroidery, you don't look like patchwork, you could just embroider certain elements of this, would look amazing. Either machine embroidery or hand embroidery would look lovely. And both of them exactly the same, but obviously as you've seen, because I've been through all the other fabrics, you've seen that a lot of the prints in here are echoed in the prints in here. So if I just take my favourite one out again, yeah, I think it might be everyone else's favourite as well. I'm not surprised. So look how the elements in this fabric are echoed in that fabric. You've got this super killer moth, and that's exactly the same as the moth there, but just in different scales. So you can see how well it goes together. But obviously you do have the choice. That's why these are separate, whether you want to buy the panel or you want them ½ metre or you want them with the mega bundle. The panels are pre-cut in this sort of ½ metre so that you will get exactly that. You won't get your panel cut halfway through or something. But the picture that Jill sent us in, she bought 4 panels and joined them together. So obviously, as before, they come in night and day. And the day has got this lovely sort of ivory and rich cream print background. Actually, the sort of charcoal print comes up better. If I move that over, you can see. Now, which one do you prefer? There's the question. Don't know. Both. For different things. They are so big though, aren't they? I mean, this is a 1/2 metre panel. Should I use the mega tape measure? Why is the mega tape measure like that? Love this. I love this. We sell these on the website, don't we? Are they sold out? I really like this. Because it's nice. Stiff, isn't it? 50 centimetres, there you go. 50 by 50 is the actual circle. So the panel itself is 60. So you've got the extra around the edges. Do you like this big ruler? I've got a really long metal one, 1.5 metres, and it's really useful for when you're measuring, you really want it flat and it's not flexible like the tape measure. I feel like sometimes it's more accurate. But you have to decide, or you just get both. But they are extremely versatile. You can use them for different things. If you don't want to use the whole panel, you can cut out small parts of it. And it's nice that you get two. I would, if I had them, I would just make a big cushion, a big squishy cushion. But like you could make a 24-inch cushion would be gorgeous, wouldn't it? Or, those circular poofs that you get. You could cut out the circle for the top and then use one of the print fabrics for the gusset round the side and then one for the bottom. And then you could fill it with beanbag filling. That would be lovely. Or it's quite, sometimes, you can, to be honest, you can buy those circular poofs quite cheaply. If I was going to do it, I would buy one. You can buy them for about a tenner from cheaper places. Take it all apart, make your own cover and then put their filling back in it. It's usually the cheapest way to do it. How amazing would that look in your living room? So we've got a message from Beverly. I think we're all craving something colourful and bright in these dark times. I have bought these and loads of Tula and Cave. Just makes me smile. I'm totally with you, Beverly, on that. Makes me smile. I think they're gorgeous. On the sort of a cold, snowy, wintry day, it's something like this that just gives you joy. So we have done in the past this coin stack quilt from Victoria Carrington. So we've got the instructions here for you and it features these panels. Now, we have done it before and we have sold it as a kit with the coloured panels and we can't restock it exactly as it is. But to be honest, they are plain fabrics. So there's something that you could easily use from your stash, or because you've got the dark charcoal there and then you've got these stripes, if you bought the mega bundle with all the different colours, it would be very, very easy to translate that one into the other one. So it's just a really nice, sometimes it's nice to have a set of instructions, but everything is explained in the instructions, exactly how to do it, how to join it all together and how to make it. It's a lovely set of instructions. So we've got those $9.99. If you want the coin stack quilt, it is really lovely, isn't it? You've got you've got the geometry of the coin stack and then you've got the panels. So that's really nice if you want that. Right. Yeah, before we do some prints, we're going to do Alison glass by the 1/2 metre because I did I whizzed through them as in I showed you them all, but I didn't tell you what they were all called. So we put all of these on pre-order and a lot of them have been selling unsurprisingly. So where shall we start? At the top. I have put them, I will need to put, oh God, I'll need to put its little friend with it and I've just lost a sticker. No idea where that came from. Just put it there. Right, so let's start with dark first. And this one is called Art Theory Whole Cloth, which isn't surprising because it is like a whole cloth. Do you know what? Because a whole cloth quilt is where you don't do any of that patchwork or piecing and none of that. You just get a whole piece of fabric and all you do is quilt it. It was something they used to do in America in the sort of early settlers' time. So a lot of whole cloth quilts come from them. But it also goes right back to sort of English quilting in the 17th century as well, where they would often just get a plain piece of calico, and it was always hand quilted then. But the beauty was in just the quilting. So I think that's why this is called whole cloth, because it speaks for itself. So if you want 1 metre or 2 metres and you want to make a whole cloth quilt, and you can piece it as well, you can join it across the centre and then you just simply quilt it. Remember, I'll just open it up so you know about the stripe run because it's very important. This stripe runs vertically down the selvage. The stripe runs parallel to the selvage. So remember, we only cut fabrics like this to order. If you buy the mega bundle, you've got 1/2 metre in each. But if you want to buy it by the 1/2 metre, we cut to order. So if you want 4 metres of this, put 8 in your units in your basket, because we sell it by the 1/2 metre, and it will be cut for you as a whole piece. So this one is called whole cloth, Art Theory whole cloth. And we've obviously all got it. We've also got it in the day version, depending on which one you want. It's lovely, isn't it? Just beautiful. Where else would you see it? I tell you what, it's really useful for as well, a fabric like this. If you're struggling to combine colours and know what goes with what, just look at the fabric. Take fabrics from your stash and just look at them. You wouldn't often think of putting all of these colours together, but because of the shades of the colours she's used, it works. So she's used the same tonal values of the blues and the purples and the reds and the oranges and the golds, and that's why it works. So it's quite useful to inspire yourself that it does work. So you could buy this fabric and use some plains from your stash to join with it, you know, because it would look beautiful if you were going to use a small piece and border it or line it with a plain fabric, but use the colours in there. Right, the next one is this one that's called Multi-Star. Night Multi-Star. You can see the scale of the print of this. It's quite a small scale. Abacus star. But it would work very well as a border. You know, if you'd bought the panel, this would work really well as the border around the panel. Because it's, you know, it's not your sort of low volume, but it's a very small scale print. But because it's such a small scale, it would work really well for smaller projects. Again, anything, I think sometimes when you have fabrics that are very beautiful and very intricate, it's often worth keeping the project quite simple and let the fabric speak for itself. So that's the day one. Remember, all of these are available by the 1/2 metre, cut to order, so that you can have exactly how much you want, or they are all available if you want the whole lot with one free in the mega bundle. Right, the next one is, what have we called this one? Arrows fabric. So we've got night to start with, and then we've got day. So there's night coming up on the screen. There's the night one up on the screen at the moment. Remember, these are all on the website. If you click on watch live and then go down below the screen, all of these are on the website. So if in 10 minutes time you think, what was that one called? What did you say? It's all on there. You can have a look, go and scroll down. It's very easy to see from the pictures which one is which. So you won't get confused if they've got different names and you don't know whether it's day or night. You know whether it's day or night. Don't know whether it's day or night. Does feel like that in the winter though sometimes, doesn't it? You leave for work in the night, you come back in the dark, and you think, oh, I wonder where the daylight was. So if you're not sure what is day and what is night, the pictures on the website are very clear, so you will be able to get that. Should we do all the bright ones first, and then we'll go to the sort of the plain mix of fabrics next. This one, what's this one called? We'll start with the night one. Birds and Bees, this one's called, which is actually the right name. And the stripe on this one runs horizontally. So this one runs, it runs from selvage to selvage. So you can see on that one, that's how that piece is cut. Well, I think this one is cut differently. So you can see how the colour changes. I'll show you that one, and then you can see how, because it's cut in a slightly different place. You can see how it runs from there. That's so pretty, isn't it? Such a different effect. They go together really well, but it's a really different effect. So that's a horizontal stripe, just so you know. But remember, they are all on the website, so you will very easily be able to see which is which. Right. Ooh, let's see if I can fold them back up again. Then they stay nice Otherwise they get all creased, and then, well, although I wouldn't be surprised and say then when we show them again they'll be all creased, but it wouldn't surprise me if we sell out of these today, because Alison glass has always been very popular with the Sewing Street viewers, unsurprisingly, because they are stunning, stunning fabrics. We put these on air at 7:30 this morning. Kat did when she got in, and they've been selling since then. So you love them as much as we do. These two, I love these. These are like the sort of the embroidered one. What's this one called, Kat? That's the night, and that's the day. I've got bits of thread on the jumbo. Doodles. Doodles on black, which is this one. These are super vibrant, and these are perfect for embroidering, remember, because they've got all the stitches already printed on them. You've got running stitch, back stitch, cross stitch. You could put a bit of satin stitch in there as well. So that's on the graphics on the screen at the moment. And then these are the graphics for the white version, for the day version. Coming up now, if you want that one. When you get these fabrics back home, keep the selvage off, cut the selvage off and keep it, because it's got all the colours of the rainbow with numbers in them and the name of the fabric, and that's just lovely. So if you make something from this, you can then stitch that selvage like just inside the lining or something. It's just a really nice thing. I always keep my selvages, and then you can make lovely things from them, but always like to have a spot of a good selvage. Some fabrics are quite disappointing in their selvage, and you think it's a shame because you can put a lot of nice sort of print and words and use different things from them. Right, then I'm going to do next the two butterflies, because then we'll move into the sort of the background fabrics, starting with Night. Now this doesn't show up very well on screen, but look, you can see all the butterflies there. So the background is black, but then it has this black print, which is one of the sort of the patterns and designs that is echoed in all of the other fabrics. When you get it at home, you will see the pattern does show up quite clearly. It just gives that sort of almost textured look to the fabric. Clearly it isn't, but it gives that, rather than it just being a plain jet black with the butterflies on, it does have that pattern. So that's the black version, the night version, and then this is the day version. And in the day, the pattern is exactly the same in the background, but you can see it as well when you get it, but I'm just not sure on screen how well it shows. But when you look at it close up on the day version, you can really see. It just gives it that sort of extra texture and feel. Oh, it's got all bits on it, isn't it? Let's just smooth it out for you. So there, look, you can see it quite well now. But look how well the two fabrics go together. Creep out a bit. There we go. They look so lovely together, don't they? But you know, these are, so if you just wanted a half meter of these are ideal for just making little purse, little wallet, because you can cut it so that the small butterfly is on the front. Right, let's fold that one up. And now we're going to go to the of every fabric range, the sort of the base mix of fabrics that you put with them are equally important, because they help the fabrics themselves to stand out. So this one is called, and this is the night version, End Paper. That's a good name, isn't it? It's like you have at the end of a book, an end paper. So this is the same prints I showed you earlier, that's in the sort of the bright, vibrant rainbow prints, but just in charcoal and black. So this blends beautifully. When you want the other fabric to stand out, if you want to use it for sashing or borders, that's perfect. And it's available in the day and the night version. And there's the day version coming on screen now. But remember, if you can't remember all of these and you get to the end and go, oh, I can't remember what she said, just have a look on the website below Watch Live, and all of these are listed, and it's quite clear to see from the photos which one is which. Okay, I'll fold that one back up. and just and this one. Right, then we've got these two that look almost like concretey, but interestingly, if I'd show, I'm going to show the day one first, which I don't normally. The pattern that is printed within these crosses is the same pattern that's in the background of that butterfly print. So the this butterfly fabric here, the background in that print is the same as the background that's printed in the crosses. So the whole thing goes together. All the colours hang together, so that the greys that you've got in here go with the greys in here, and then go with the greys in the night version. So these are absolutely perfect. If you need some what you think of as solid, but something with a bit more texture, something to make the other fabric stand out, or for borders and sashing, this is actually perfect. But honestly, or just on its own, I mean, it's just a really lovely fabric, isn't it? I love the day version. It's a very soft grey, like a silvery grey in the background with a slate grey, but all the crosses going all different directions. It's really nice. So, it doesn't have to be bought with the rest of the collection because we're offering it by the half metre. If you want it as it is, it's perfect. So that's that one. And then, I'm just mixed them up. One moment. That's what you get for moving butterflies around. Put that one back in there, and that one goes there, and that one goes there. And I've done that one. And then this is the night version of the same one. And again, you've got that, the black background. Well, you see, this is the same, messing up with my fabrics now, but look, it's the same print and background as you get with this butterfly one. So you can see how well they go together. But that's lovely. It's a beautiful, rich, almost velvety black with this sort of deep charcoal, slatey coloured crosses. But the crosses are lovely because they've got the print in them. So there's texture, there's interest. This is a very considered collection. It's not just something that's, let's put some crosses in the background. It is. Now, Alison Glass doesn't bring out many collections. She always brings out the sun prints because they're massively popular. But she obviously spends a lot of time. You sort of wonder when you see collections like this, you think, I wonder how many fabrics didn't make it through. Probably 5 times as many before she chose the actual ones because she's got so many ideas. And then this is the final one in the collection that's on its own, doesn't have a day version. It's just the night one, but this echoes the arrows and the feathers in one of the other prints, but it's just all different directions. So you've got the circles and the lines, so perfect for like you would normally use a plain fabric, but it's just got a little bit more interest in it. And because the lines are going every which way, you don't have to cut it you don't have to make sure that you've got it exactly straight, because it's very good for using in all different directions. Right. So that is the entire collection. So if you want anything by the half metre, you can buy all of them by the half metre, and also in the mega save half a metre fabric bundle as well. I'll just put them all back so you can see them one by one by one. Oh no, the stickers come off, and then if you don't keep the sticker on, you have no idea what it is. They don't stay on very well. But what a load of, when I'm layering them all up at this, look at all these fabrics that you get. 9 metres. It's a lot of fabric, isn't it? Beautiful. Quite heavy as well. So let's move on to the sun prints. Oh, I love these. These are lovely. These are great for sewers. Actually, that is the day version of the one that was in the bundle. So this one that didn't have its day, that's in the mega bundle, that's the day version of it. Yes, I guess, yes. Sorry, I'm confused now. That must be part of it, because how many are in this? 18? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. I said there was one missing. No, it was. Yeah, that's the free one. That must be the free one. I knew one was free, but I didn't know which one. So this was the only one missing. So this is exactly the same. It has got a friend. Morning, Elliot. Can't see him through my glasses. Thank you to Maureen who messaged in. Do you know, I was thinking as I was going through these, why is there not a friend? And there it was, sitting with the sun prints. So there's the friend. So exactly the same. So they are all in pairs. You can see all the different colours. It got mixed up. I think, do you know why? It's because that was the free one. It didn't end up with it. Right. There we go. So this one, again, this one is available by the half metre as well. So let's move on to sun prints now. Now we've cleared up the Mega Bundle mystery. I love these. These are brilliant for stitchers because they're cross stitch and embroidery. I remember when these first, this first came out. It's just beautiful. You sort of feel that she's obviously created these inspired by embroidery and made for embroidery. So this is actually, now this is all we have left. Now, do you remember stamped cross stitch? I don't even know whether you can still buy it. There were two different ways of doing cross stitch. You either do it on an aid or an even weave and you use a chart and count and do the stitches, or you can used to be able to get fabric with the cross stitches actually stamped on it and you stitched over them. So this is like your old-fashioned stamped cross-stitch, but made as a fabric. It's lovely, isn't it? I feel like I've got it upside down. I've got it upside down because that. If you ever wonder, which I do regularly, if your fabric is upside down, because with this one obviously you can tell. With some fabrics you can't always tell if it's upside down, but if you look at the selvage, let me move that over. If you look at the selvage, just check the way that the words are running and then you know which way up it goes. Because with some fabrics, it's not always clear. With this one, clearly it is. I mean, some don't have a right way up. But also, often with some fabrics where you're not sure, the light does fall differently going one way to the other. So in order to keep it going the same way, just follow the words down the selvage. So this is lovely. It features sort of, it's very like old sampler motifs. If you look at really old samplers going back to like the 18th century, they often had sort of pairs of doves and lions. Bees were particularly important because all of old samplers, when they were cross-stitched or even embroidered, all of these different symbols meant different things. So some things meant prosperity and health and love, and depending on what you stitched onto your sampler was what you wanted, you know, to symbolise. People had family emblems and different things. So all of the elements on here are what you would have found in these old samplers, but it's beautiful, isn't it? I just love the way even the background has got cross stitch, so it just gives a really nice texture, and it's a lovely vibrant pink. We've got exactly the same fabric but in vibrant orange. If you know Alison Glass, you know she is well known for her extremely bright fabrics, which aren't always primary but just a different take on them, and then she'll always put in a few sort of creams, greys, blacks, the sort of blender colours that make all the others bright colours stand out. So this is exactly the same fabric, which I've now got the right way up, in orange. But this is ideal, you know, you'd use it just, you know, use it in piecing, but you could just use it to cut out small motifs of. I love, let me move it over, I love the bee. He'd make just the loveliest little coin purse, wouldn't he? Because he's cross-stitched. And again, you know, if you like doing embroidery as well, you can stitch over that. You can even work the cross stitches on top of the cross stitches. It would just look fantastic. Right, and then the next group of fabrics, those are the two with that feature the cross stitch. The next group of fabrics are like embroidery. So there's 5 of them. They're not actually, no, they aren't. 1, 2, those 3 are the same. I know this collection. So these are stitched. So there are 3 colours of them, a sort of a very citrine, and then we've got grey, and we've got a very berry red. Very berry red. If I open up the grey, I think, well, to me, this is the one that you can see. The pattern is the same on all of them. But is it the same? Is it? Yeah, look at that, interestingly. It's exactly the same print. Because I told you that this art theory was part of her a movement on from her other collection. So the print on these is exactly the same as these. So what she's done with her art theory collection is she's taken some of the older collections and taken the prints on them but pulled them together into a new collection. So the print on here is exactly the same as the print that's on the shadow grey. So again, perfect for if you want to embroider over, if you want to embellish. Do you know, even be good with those fabric pens, wouldn't it? You know, you could colour in, remember I said earlier with the fabric pens, you could colour certain areas in so it looked like satin stitch. They'd be ideal for that. But it's actually just a really nice print. I've got quite a collection of these Alison glass that I've collected over the years, and I use them a lot for linings of things. I made a really nice black and white bag recently, a couple of weeks ago, and I used this sort of colour as one of my Alison glass prints inside because they look stunning. Or if you want to put a pocket in something and you want something really bright. So don't think of I'm not sure what I want to do with them now or what project am I going to use them for. They are a really useful group of fabrics to have in your stash that you will use for other things. And remember, you know, if you're lining something or backing something, use something stunning and something bright and pretty, or that gives you a bit of interest or surprise, or even, you know, the inside of a zip pocket in a bag. I tend to use my bright fabrics for that. So my sort of monochrome tote bag that I made, when I open it up, I've got this really bright pocket. So these are lovely, and I like the way that they do echo that whole sort of cross stitch and embroidery vibe. They go really well together. So we've only got these colourways because this is all we've got left, but we know you love Alison glass, and because she does have a palette, the colours that are used in here and in the cross stitch fabrics are echoed in the art theory as well. So this is perfect complementary fabrics for them. The final print, which we've got in two colourways, in the pink and the orange, is like an embroidery print again, but it doesn't have the sort of the backstitch lines. But look at this one, look at this. It's all sorts of motifs. So it's almost about, you know, when you used to get those embroidery transfers and you'd get books of them and you'd have a page of sort of transport motifs and a page of flowers and a page of different things. And this is echoes that whole embroidery transfer thing. But on here as well, look, there's scissors and a needle. I love those little houses. Look, Alison Glass's favourite, the moth. Then she's got some heraldic symbols, but there's a lot of things in here that you see echoed in her art theory as well. And that's the pink one. And then this is the orange one. I don't know whether the orange one shows up better. Sometimes with her fabrics, although I can see them very clearly when I'm looking at the screen, I'm not sure how well you can see them. But a lot of these fabrics are very limited. Look, can you see? Look, I'll put it forward. There's the scissors and the needle. But they are like those old embroidery transfer books. So you could, you know, cut out different elements. And there's a thimble there and a cupcake. You could cut out different elements of them as well. You could embroider on them because these are a plain background. You could put loads of colour into them as well. You know, it's just sort of a starting point for a project. You don't have to just use it as a fabric and you use it in patchwork or dressmaking. It is a starting point for something else. And I think if you like a lot of sewers, not many sewers just do one discipline. A lot of you like patchwork and you like embroidery, or you like dressmaking and you like knitting, or you like cross stitch and crochet. So always think about sort of mixing the two together. Right. I'll put those back together. So if you want more Alison glass, you know, if you make a crochet bag, then line it with one of these. Mix your media together, because everyone needs a bit of everything. So I'm just going to go through the panels again. Oh no, I've got a sticker. I'm going to just keep that sticker there. So these panels are bigger than the ones we've had previously, because these are 50 centimetres in diameter. And that's not the pad. The whole strip you will get is 60 centimetres, but the actual panel is 50. So this is great. So because this is part of the new art theory, remember I said that Alison Glass has taken some of her fabrics and she sort of mixed them together. She's taken them from different collection and updated them and changed them around a bit. And obviously her panels were massively popular, so she's created them in a bigger size. But these are perfect for, you know, larger cushions, for table centres, for, you know, a little footstool, or if you've got a round stool and you want to put something on it. It can be a round, it can be a square. all different things. You could press Bondaweb to the back of the whole thing and then cut very carefully around the outline of all of this and then put it onto something else. You know, there's so many different things you can do with it. But remember, on each of these panels, you get two circles. But they are, if you've bought the panels in the past, these are bigger than the ones that we have done before. These are 50 centimetres. And also, so the night has been the most popular, but we have it in the day as well. Now I don't know, I'm going to put that sticker, I don't know where that sticker goes. I'll put it on that one, I think it might be that one. Right, and then this is the day one. Art Theory enlarged. So that's what it looks like in the day. What I like about it as well is that you can't get it the wrong way up because everything is sort of flying in and out of each other. I mean, that is, if I put it my way, that is the right way up because that's the way that the words on the selvage run. But, you know, it doesn't really matter, does it? But it's lovely, isn't it? If you wanted to team this with other things, it works really well. So the night so far has been the most popular. Right, what have I got? 5 minutes. So I've only got 5 minutes left. So I've got 2 books. Well, it's quick. We'll do it quick. So if you've bought these fabrics and you want some inspiration, let's do this one first. This is like the coin stack in Victoria's pattern. Love to sew Claudia Schmidt. Quick and easy patchwork. So if you've bought all of these and you think, oh, what am I going to do with it now? And I need some inspiration. So this, lots of, well, quick and easy. It's only $16.99 and you get, oh, sorry, wrong one. Yes, this one, $7.99 for all of these projects. So let's go through them quickly. Really nice cushion. See now, how ideal is this for the Alison glass? You've got 9 different squares and you've got the border and you've got that. So if you've bought the mega bundle, that would be perfect for it. So you've got all the normal sewing techniques and tips and everything you need to know. And there's some ideas. You know, when I've been saying, well, this would be ideal, use a simple project because this fabric is very complex, then it makes it stand out. Something like that shopping bag is ideal. The rainbow pillow, that's perfect, isn't it? With all of those different things. So imagine if you bought the whole bundle, you could use little pieces of this. I love that. It's very simple, but very effective. Cutlery roll, that would be ideal for this. It's nice to have some ideas of just smaller projects to make as well. But then, you know, you've got this great big patchwork quilt where the fabrics are very simple, but it's just the squares that stand out. Heart-shaped pillow, book jackets, so nice little projects that you can do quite simply. I like that. The coffee cozies with the mug rug as well. So this uses up small pieces. You know, if you've made something from fabric, you've always got all those little pieces left over. So this book for just $7.99 just gives you some ideas. And actually, reading through it, the instructions are really good, very easy to understand. Makeup bag again, you know. And, you know, when you've got your whole Alison Glass mega bundle, wall tidy. I mean, look how great those fabrics would work with this project. They'd be really nice. And at the back, it's great. All of the templates are there. And they are all full size as well, which is really useful, isn't it? Even one for the heart-shaped pillow. I just need to run through these 2 fabrics because Kat mixed the graphics up. We don't want to confuse you. So the image for this one, which is the missing free one that we found, is wrong on the website. So what does it look like on the website? It looks like the colourful one on the website. So you need to, so if you want this one, you need SMWU02. And remember, it's the same as, that's the day version, but it probably shows up better on the night version. It's the same print, but with the cream and the sort of ivory and cream print, but it's the same as this one. It's just when you get it home, you will see it as well as I can, but I just think on screen it doesn't show as well, so I'm just putting that one there. So that's that one, but the image is mixed up on the website, I think because it was the free one and it got mixed up with the other one. It's all got mixed up. So, and then the other one, but if you do want the colourful arrow stripe, you want this code, WPWU08. So if you want the vibrant bright day arrow stripe, that's the code that you need for it. WPWU08. Sorry about that. I think we just got confused. We had too many fabrics. We were too excited and they were all put together in a bundle and one got mixed in that because it was the free one. But honestly, if you get confused and you have any problems and then you don't remember, just phone the call centre. It's a UK call centre. It's just down the road from us, around the corner. 0800 001 4433, and they'll be able to help you if you have got confused or you just want to check to make sure you've ordered the right one. But remember, all of those 18 fabrics are all in the mega bundle and one of them is free, which is that cream one, since we got all completely mixed up. So, after the break, we've got EPP, Sallieann's back with us, some really good ways of traditional EPP and the cheat EPP too. So I will see you back here soon.
While we're having to spend more time at home again, we're here to keep you busy and entertained. Sewing Street will be live every day from 8 a.m, bringing you plenty of demonstrations with our experts in dressmaking, quilting, bag making, toy making, needle felting, embroidery, and so much more. Our community of fellow sewists on the Sewing Street fans Facebook group are there to chat to you about whatever you're making, sharing photos and advice. Check out the Sewing Street Facebook and Instagram pages for fun competitions and offers.
Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
Hi, my name is Yvonne McAtamney. My passion is patchwork and quilting, and it's also my privilege to own Village Fabrics patchwork and quilting shop in Wallingford. My sewing life began before I went to school, certainly, and probably before I could read. My mum was always a sewer, and with two big sisters, every weekend there would be a new dress made, and I was allowed to do certain pieces, and as I got older I started to make some dresses. My top tip is you don't have to be able to draw to design. The place that I always start is with a children's colouring in book. They have good bold outlines and then you can trace that and adapt to your heart's content. Anybody can do it. My claim to fame is that last year, when things were good, we had Jenny Doan from Missouri Star Quilt Company come and do a meet and greet at my shop in Wallingford. We had a really enjoyable day and good fun was had by all. So I hope I'll be popping into your living rooms on a regular basis as we go forward with Sewing Street here. We are intending to bring you some absolute beginner kits as well as some of our more intricate designs. See you soon.
Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too. Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
While we're having to spend more time at home again, we're here to keep you busy and entertained. Sewing Street will be live every day from 8 a.m, bringing you plenty of demonstrations with our experts in dressmaking, quilting, bag making, toy making, needle felting, embroidery, and so much more. Our community of fellow sewists on the Sewing Street fans Facebook group are there to chat to you about whatever you're making, sharing photos and advice. Check out the Sewing Street Facebook and Instagram pages for fun competitions and offers.
Okay, sorry. Welcome back to Sewing Street. So I was just chatting to Sallieann about EPP and this lovely panel. Anyway, we have got 2 panels in this hour. Well, they're kits. You can either buy it as a panel kit. We've got various different things. So let me start with this one. This is a massive panel. I'll move this out of the way because I want to be able to unfold it for you. So this has been designed exclusively for us at Sewing Street. And now this is fantastic. This is EPP, but EPP the easy way. So in order to make the whole cushion, which I'll show you in a minute because it's behind Sallieann, you cut out all the hexagons here. I've all got the seam allowance in them already, and they're all arranged in the order they need to be in. So what I would say before you cut anything out is take a picture of them, and then you can remember what order they go in. Then you cut out all of the individual hexagons. In the pack, you will get 100 paper pieces, which is about enough, but you might need to, because you've got lots of part pieces, you might need to reuse some of them. But they're all cut out. If I take them out of the packet, they're all printed out, so they are bigger all the way round. They've got your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Can you see that one? So you cut each one out. You tack them round or glue them round as you would normally do, and then you sew them together. And the beauty of it is that you've got all the pieces you need. But quite often, a lot of people who do EPP love fussy cutting. They like to be able to cut a piece of fabric so that the image is in the centre of it. Well, that's all done for you. And also, all the lines and the checks and the spots, they all go certain ways. And isn't it beautiful bumblebee print? And also, it's got, when you want to make a square from a hexagons, you need part hexagons to make it into a square, and those are all printed around the edge as well. But that's not all you get on the panel. That's just one half of it. So if I open up the other half, on the other half you've got the cushion back. So it's amazing, isn't it? That whole big piece makes this size cushion. So you've got the cushion back, you've got some spare hexagons, just in case you lose one or you want to make something else. You've got another piece of bumblebee fabric, you've got labels that say handmade by, you've got extra bees, you've got an applique bee here. And Sallieann's going to be explaining this to us that although you can make the whole cushion with this, you can also make lots of other things as well, because that's the beauty of the panel. There's all the hexies to make the cushion. You've got the cushion back, you've got all the labels, and you've got all the spare hexagons. So there's lots else you can do with it. So it's fantastic value. For £17.99, you've got everything you need for the cushion front. You've got the 100 1-inch hexagons, which is what you need for this, because these are horrible to have to cut out yourself, and all these extra pieces as well. But we also have exactly the same thing, but in a different print. So if you like bumblebees, this is the one for you. But if you want the sewing notions, that's this one. Now, if you want the sewing notions, you have to phone the call centre on 0800 001 4433 to get this one. This one at the moment isn't on the website due to a technical glitch. But if you do want this one, easy enough to get via the call centre. You know, remember, it's free phone. It's in UK call centre just around the corner from us. They're very helpful, very kind. So just give them the code and they will help you out, because we just haven't been able to get it on the website this morning. We'll have it on later, but we just couldn't do it this morning. I love this one. So you've got each of the hexagons you've got a button in the middle, you've got spools of thread. Now, can you imagine trying to fussy cut fabric to get them facing all the correct direction? You would waste so much fabric. On this rib, so this one, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see it really well. It's needles, individual needles. It looks like stripes, but they're actually needles. If you get in really close, you can see them. The next row out, you've got dressmakers' dummies. Then you've got thread again. But the way it's been designed is you get sort of 3 rows of spools of thread. Then you get a button and 3 rows. Then we move out to the needles again. And then round the edges, you've got a lovely dusky pink print with scissors, but hexies with spools in the corners. And then again, you've got all the part cut hexies. So that's the hexagon, the front of it. So what you do is you cut all of these out first. Remember, take a picture first, because then you will remember what order they need to go into. That's quite important. And then you can tack them all round the paper. And then let's look at the back. So the back is where you get all the extra pieces. So you've got the cushion back, but you know what, this is such a lovely print. It almost seems, if you want to really make this even better value, is use plain fabric on the back, and you could use this for another cushion. So you could have 2 cushions, use plain for that one. This is lovely. You've got the spare hexies here, and again, Sallieann's going to be giving us some ideas of what you can do with these to make it much better value. You've got a lovely spool of thread at the top there that's for an applique, just a piece of fabric with those lovely little scissors on, and then all of these extra pieces printed all the way down the sides. You know, there's so many different things you can do with them. So that's the second pack. So if you don't like EPP but you like the look of it, we have got the cheat version, which is that this one here? Yeah, just make sure. So the cheat version is this one. Nobody would know. So this is what it looks like. So the one that Sallieann's going to be talking to us today is this version. So this is the cheaty version, because you don't need to piece it together. If you like the EPP, I mean, obviously it does look different than if you're than if it's pre-printed. If you've hand sewn, you've hand EPP, it will look the same size, but it has obviously a different look to it. But this is the cushion front, so this is what yours will look like when you've done it. Now remember, the picture of this is on the website as well, so if you've forgotten to take a picture of it for the other one, then you've got the cushion back. Obviously they're the same size, but again, remember, you can actually make 2 cushions out of this, because you could use your own plain fabric, and then you've got the one with the hexies, and then you've got the one on the back, and then on the other side you've got all the extra freebies. You've got extra bee fabric and applique bee, extra hexagons, lots of labels that are handmade, lots of bees. So you can choose, do you want to do the EPP version, which is just the loveliest thing to do, and a really easy version of EPP, because you tack the hexagon fabric hexagons around the paper and they come in the kit and you make the whole thing, or you can do the cheaty version and just quilt it. And obviously, if you like the Notions version, we've got it too. Right, let me just show you what this one looks like. Oh, isn't that lovely? So when I was going through all the different ones and how it worked, that the way that they'd been printed meant that the spools would face outwards when they joined together, and that you've got the buttons on these corners. So if you don't want to do the EPP, but you just want to do the quilting, this one is perfect. I love this one. I love all the little scissors. But if you do want to do the EPP version, you can buy the other one. Remember, you've got the cushion back, or again, you can use this as a cushion front if you want to. And then you've got all of the extra ones. Love this really big spool. And then you've got the extra ones. So, you know, you've got different sorts of making. You've got, you know, traditional EPP with one panel and some extras. With this one, this is more about the making up and then all the other things. So those are the versions that we have. So remember, with the Notions one, you will need to phone the call centre for that one. So, Sallieann, what did you decide to do when you got the panel then?
I just got overexcited and made too many things.
Well, that's good. Well, there's a lot on it, isn't there?
Yeah, and I must admit, so I made the cushion, and I must admit, and that is the pre-printed panel. And I was in my sewing room, an hour and 10 minutes?
No.
And I came out and I said to my husband, what do you think? And he went, you haven't done all that. And I said, actually, it's just quilted. And he went, really? And
that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you haven't got it. It looks different to if you had done it by hand.
Yeah.
It does have a different effect. So if you go for the full EPP version, it will have a more of a hand sewn thing, but it is stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, and I used a Sashko machine, but you could hand quilt it as well. That would be a nice thing to sit of an evening and hand quilt it.
Beautiful to hand quilt it, wouldn't it? So what's the finished size? Should I get my mega tape measure of the cushion? Oh, it's quite big, isn't it? Because if that's the back, and I presume it's got the seam allowance involved, it's 18 inches. It'll be 18 inches finished with the seam allowance. So it's quite a decent sized cushion.
Yeah.
It is stunning, isn't it? And you could do as much or as little quilting as you like.
Yeah, so I've quilted the centre. I've quilted the centre, and then I've stopped about here. I haven't quilted beyond this point, so you could carry on quilting right down to here.
Yeah.
As I say, it would be a nice on your lap project to do.
Yeah, because you could put lots of quilting, and you could put embroidery in it as well, couldn't you? If you wanted to embroider parts of the bees or the wings or things.
Yeah, you could almost put like a tied quilt.
Yes.
Like little ties in it, sort of here, coming round. Or, I mean, you could have little tiny buttons. It's up to you. I'm a bit of a sucker for buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also time as well, isn't it? It depends what you want to do. So there are the two options, because I know some people don't want to do all of that. I love EPP. I would buy the EPP version because I really like it.
Yeah.
But that's stunning. But I like all the other bits you get on it as well.
I mean, I've quilted for years, but I must admit, when I saw this, I thought, oh, I could whip that up just really quickly. It's just like, whoa. Yeah.
And that's
done.
nice sometimes.
Sometimes you
isn't it,
need that quick project.
Just quick. Yeah, you do. And did you put the back on it? You can take it down.
Am I allowed to take it down? Okay, so I
take them off all the time.
So I also played around with the back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
and you put the bee on the back.
I put the bee on the back. So I just I used to use some heat and bond and put it on the back. Yeah. But you could.
That's lovely, isn't it?
You could use like a plain cream on the back. Or,
but so you could have two cushions because that works just as well as for a cushion front, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what did you decide to do with the rest of the panel then?
So with the rest of the panel, I stuck to the brief and did some EPP.
Right. Oh, good, good. So you can explain that. So if you're buying the EPP panel, this is how you do it.
Yeah, this is the EPP. So there's lots of ways of doing EPP, and we'll explore a few of them.
Okay.
So my idea with the EPP is I had the one with a limited number of hexagons. Was to add
with the extras, so you get 8.
And to 10. Make, in my own mind, I was making a pencil case.
Okay.
Okay. So I was going to use, because I thought this was a good size for a pencil case, and I would put a zip top and a plain back. And then I liked these that are on there.
Oh, the labels, they're so sweet, aren't they?
So I thought that would look really cute to have a little label down the bottom. And obviously I would also, it would be layered up and quilted.
Yes, yeah.
With the EPP stuff, so you can hand baste, which you touched on earlier, didn't you? I don't know what I've done with that. There you are. Or you can glue baste the hexies. So I've glue basted a few. I don't know if you can see those. So I've just cut them out.
Glue pens.
Yeah. Glue pen, invaluable. So I'm just going to do this last one.
Well, some people hand baste through the template. Some hand baste, but through the edge of the fabric and not into the template. Some people glue.
I'm a gluer. Are you a glue?
No, I'm a hand baster. Don't know. Ask me why.
Purist.
I don't know. And only because that's what I've always done, and for no other reason. I think I did EPP before these glue pens were invented. I think. Well, when I used to do it, I used to tack them together. To be honest, now I do. What I tend to do is I'll use glue to stick it to the template to hold it in place, and then I'll often tack it down. I don't know why. I think maybe it's just what you used to what you used to do.
Yeah. So there's one. I'm just going to give them all a little bit of a press, and then we'll explore different ways of joining them together.
Okay.
Because I'm not a purist for joining them together.
I'm not a purist at all. It's just that's what I did. There's no reason for it. If there's a cheaty way, it's just that's how I've always done it.
Right.
But I do glue them on because I used to pin them. And
Used to pin them?
Well, I would put, to hold it in the centre. I would just hold it in the centre, hold the paper to make sure it didn't move. I'd pin that. I didn't pin the edges, but that often they still move.
Yeah.
And if you've cut them exactly, then you end up with like 1/8 of an inch to turn over.
Okay, so.
So which colourway did you like the most, or printway?
I like that one.
This one. Yeah, I do as well. I like it because I like the way that all of these go in different directions. Perfect for your sewing room,
Yes.
isn't it? Perfect for your sewing corner. Perfect to put on the sofa and go, this is mine. This is my seat. Don't anyone else sit there. It's the one with the cushion. But it's very bedroom as well, isn't it? Because it's so pretty. But if you do want this one, don't forget that you need to phone the call centre to order this one. If you want the one with the panel where the Hexie's come in, it's the proper EPP one, you need to phone the call centre because we haven't got it on the website. We will, but we just not at the moment. So
by far the most popular way is to hand stitch them together. You're going to ask me what size needle, aren't you? I know. And I'm going to go, it's just my favourite one.
No, I'm going to tell you what size needle it should be.
Go on, then tell me what size needle it should be.
It should be a betweens needle,
Okay.
number 10.
I think I've used a milliner's.
I don't know. I'm not telling you what. No, I tend to. What I use is a betweens needle because I like a short needle to go through them.
Okay, I always like a longer needle, a really sharp, long one. And here I've got some silk thread.
Okay.
Yeah, have you used silk thread?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have actually. No, I have actually used that only because someone told me, but a few years ago about it, and I never used to. There isn't a specific needle that you use for EPP, but I tend to use a betweens needle because I quite like the short going through.
With needles, at the end of the day, it's what is comfortable
Absolutely.
in your hand.
Yeah, it's not about what you're told.
No.
It's nice to have a range of needles. I always say to people, have as many different needles as you can because then you can try different ones. Because some people prefer to use longer needles for things, for some short needles. I like to use a short needle for this, but like you say, you use a long one. So
I tend to use this one for everything.
Okay.
I just got very
Probably
friendly with
milliner's
this
then.
needle.
Yeah. But then it is important to have different, if you've got the choice though, because then it's nice, isn't it? If you've only got one needle, then it's nice to have a choice. So you just do...
So I'm just going over and over the edge. What would you call that? Running I'm just catching the very edge, a couple of threads on each one.
Oh, you just need to move
so
your
they're
head
right
back
sides together.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's all gone quiet. It's difficult for me to see it. There you go. So the stitches are probably about a 16th, I would say, apart.
So just close.
Close, yeah.
Oh, Kat was saying, do you have a thimble? Because she uses a thimble when she doesn't eat. Are you a bit of an EPP expert then, Kat? A bit of a keener. And she's a glue baster.
Ooh.
And she uses a thimble.
Ooh.
Because otherwise her fingers get ruined.
Yeah, also topped it with slippy thread, tie it to your needle.
Okay, yeah, because that is very slippy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, do you know, that's the first time I ever used Aurifil thread was EPP. And a long time ago, and someone said to me, if you use Aurifil, it works really well with EPP.
Yeah, the 80, Aurifil 80 is really good.
And I said, yeah, I bet there's no difference. And yes, there was a difference.
Yeah.
So I do save my Aurifil for EPP. Because it is just, I don't know, it sits within the fabric better. Even the 50, it seems to sort of sit in it better than other thread, and I don't know why. I did use the transparent thread once, and I didn't like that.
What, like monofilament? Yeah.
Somebody suggested that as well.
What, for hand sewing?
Yes, because it's clear, and
Yeah.
therefore stitches won't be seen, but it just kept breaking.
Yeah.
So I gave up on that. That was a bad top tip. Don't use
Towards
that.
the end or towards the corner, I would do like a locking stitch. So I'd make a loop and then I'd go through that loop
Oh, okay.
to sort of lock that corner in.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't know. Yeah, I usually do like a couple of stitches. I like that. So how many of you are you sewn together for this one?
So what for this,
your pencil case?
my pencil case project. So I've got 5 here. So I'm going to finish this one off and then show you a different way of sewing them together.
Oh, okay.
Let's put a few together, shall we, in different ways. I'm just going to go, and to do that, I'm going to go back over what I've done. So I'm going to, does that make sense? I've done a locking stitch, and now I'm going to go back up in reverse a few stitches. I'll tell you why, because if you finish it right off on the corner, you end up with all these little tiny tails right on the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you go back to finish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, especially when you're doing quite a lot. If you're doing the one where you cut them all out, you do lots of corners.
Yeah. Right. So if I was going to do, see what they look like on there. So I'm going to take the papers out. You can see what they begin to look like on here. And it always surprises me when you take the papers out how much it still holds the shape.
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Sort
which
of
you
like-
don't get with the tacking.
Do you not?
No, not the same. I mean, you do a bit because if you press it, but it's not as much. Next time I do EPP, maybe I need to get a new glue thing.
Yeah.
Uses up a lot of glue though. You always need a spare stick. So you sew them all together.
Yep. So let's just...
So the most popular panel of the 4 is the ready-made bee one. There we go. Which is called Complete Cushion Bumblebee Fabric Panel. That's interesting, isn't it? So my favourite, and yours is the sewing one. In fact, yes, I would have bought the sewing one that you EPP'd, and the most favourite, though, is the bumblebee that you don't. Good job, we all think differently, isn't it? Otherwise we'd all buy the same panel. And they're by Montreal. I love this. I really like it. I'm quite tempted, actually. I haven't done any EPP for a while, so I'm quite tempted by this one. Yeah, and I think what's great about it is that these are already printed, so easy to cut out, and you get the papers. Because I have done it before where I haven't got the papers, and I've printed them out, and then you have to cut them all out, which takes quite a long time.
Okay. Right, so we'll go for another method now of joining them together. I'm going to try and join them together on the sewing machine. Now, we have bonded over the break.
Have you? Are you friends now?
I'm hoping they hear that.
Right.
We have bonded.
Now, I'm really interested in this because I've never done this. So I'd love to know how to machine.
Okay. So I'm just going to use, I've still got the card in there and I'm going to use a very small zigzag. When I say small, I mean really, really small. So I'm going to set it.
So almost like a satin.
Yeah.
What size, what length do you set that to then?
I'm going to take it down to, so let's put it on 3. I think I'm going to take it down to 0.8 is the length.
Okay.
And how small is it going to let me go? 1/2. one of these moments where I really should test it on a scrap before I.
Yeah, when you try it. Now that you and the machine are friends.
Yes.
It was probably just having a snow day. It's still snowy out there. I had a look. Yeah. It's not snowing. It's snowy, as it looks like the snow. It wasn't actually snowing. I don't think it's due to snow today. I think it's like super bright sunshine day.
Yeah, my mum, she's in Bristol and she said the sun's come out now, so you should be all right on your way
Oh, it'll all
back.
have melted, won't
Yeah.
it?
What do you mean? I was pleased.
Oh, I love the snow though. It's worth it for a
For you.
treacherous journey.
Right. Okay, so 0.5 is a little bit too narrow. I think I'm going to have to go 1. Okay, so I've got it on 1 width and 0.8 length.
Wow, so that is like almost satin stitch,
Yeah.
isn't it? So do you end up sewing through the card when you do this?
Only very slightly.
Okay.
We'll see what's going to happen, shall we? So I'm just going to butt them hard against each other. And I've got a walking foot on. So, see what you're going to do.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to reuse them. I don't like reusing my Hexies though. I like to have clean ones each time. You can reuse them. Yeah, because if you use new ones, you get nice crisp edges. But then I don't like having a second-hand cup either. If someone makes me a cup of tea, I want a clean cup every time. Yeah, good to know. Top tip. I don't mind if you make me a cup of tea and it is the other cup, as long as you wash it. But I do like a clean cup of tea, because you know when you've had a cup of tea, going off the point here, and then you make another one in the same cup without washing it, there's a slight bit of sort of residue. Don't like that. Yeah, and that's the same with EPP papers. I don't like reusing them because they haven't got quite the edge. So you just line them up.
Yep.
Can we get a close up of that? I really want to see that because I can't see it very well from where I am. One moment, caller. It's just coming. It's coming. I can see it on the other screen, but it is coming up. Look at that. That's amazing.
Okay, so tiny.
Just tiny zigzags.
stitches. Do you want me to have a go at taking out the paper
Yes.
and see what it's going to do?
Yeah, I would like to see what that. So I guess normally you'd have gone all the way round, and then you do the. And then if you did say one in the centre, you could zigzag that as well.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. Do you want to do a close up?
A close-up reveal.
A close-up reveal. So that's. Can you see where the stitches are?
Yes.
And so there you go.
That didn't really go through, did it?
No,
Oh,
did go
okay.
through. Okay, well, just do the other one.
Well, it's a bit like when you hand sew them together, you think, I definitely did not go through any of the paper. And then you take it out and you think, well, I obviously did, but I hadn't noticed it.
Okay. So then. Okay.
Yeah, just very slightly. Yeah, so you could actually reuse that one, couldn't you?
So that's how much has gone into the edges. That's what it looks like on the. So it doesn't really look that dramatically different from the one that you did by hand. Well, not in my humble opinion, anyway. Let's just put the.
So if you
folds back
bought, if you bought the other panel, which is all hand stitched, you could machine stitch them all together. Actually, there is a way of machine stitching Hexies together, though, isn't there? Where you, but I still haven't worked that one out. Where you actually machine them, sew them together. So without them being turned over, but I've never really got my head around that. I think they tend to use bigger Hexies.
Yes.
So where you actually, but you have to sort of start.
And there's a pivot point.
Yes.
For the sew line around the edge.
Have you ever tried that?
I think I've done a little bit of that, but not a great deal.
It looks really complicated, and I imagine if you don't get it absolutely spot on, once you got that, it wouldn't work. So I've not tried that. That's a real sort of like a half cheap version, then, isn't it?
Yes. The other thing that you could do is you could put them. So there's so many different ways of doing this. You could keep the papers in, put them all on your, say this is the front of your pencil case, not with the batting in. Put them on the front with the papers in, then zigzag not only between them, but all the way around the edges to applique them on.
Yes.
Then cut open the back
okay.
and remove the papers.
Right.
That is another way of doing it. And the advantage with that particular method is it keeps them really nice and crisp.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea, isn't it? Then you could stuff them and it'd be trapunto as well.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's the fantastic thing about it. So this one small panel, there's all these different things you can do with it.
Yeah.
So yes, the ready-made panel is the one that Sallieann's been doing. So on the ready-made panel, you get 10 Hexies that are the same size, not as the printed, but as the bigger one. So they've got the 1/4 inch seam allowance added to them. So on the ready-made, you do get 10 that you can play with, because that's the panel that Sallieann's working with. She hasn't worked with the one where you actually do it. She's working with the handmade one.
Okay. So I'm just going to put these, on here, and so I'm going to join them together and quilt them in at the same time.
Okay.
Just so you can see what that looks like. And the advantage of doing it that way, if you've got some batting in there, so you're going to use a really narrow zigzag, and what's going to happen is because that batting is in there, it's going to go down into a dip, so your stitches will disappear.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if they're not slight, so it really will look hand pieced then.
Yes.
In fact, it's probably neater because we're hand piecing. You often see the stitches as well.
So let's give that a go. Remember, we've bonded sewing machine.
Yeah, we're friends now. Remember that?
Remember? Bonded. Just around the edge of this one.
So the graphics that are on the screen at the moment are for the ready-made Notions panel, which is the one that Sallieann's actually working with. So you don't do the EPP on that one. This is where it's all ready-made, but it has got the 10 EPP hexagons for making matching items.
So I'm just joining this on with that small zigzag. But if you were going to machine applique them, I would recommend that you go, and I don't know where that stitch is on this machine, that you go for, what's it called, like a hemming stitch. So it goes along, takes a little bite, goes.
Oh, okay, I
that
know what
one,
you mean.
Not the complete zigzag, just the one that takes a bite.
There are a lot of stitches on that machine though, to be fair.
Yeah, I could be looking forever. So.
Hundreds.
And I would use in that case, I would use a monofilament thread on the top. You know, a clear thread.
Okay, so that's when it's a good time to use it, but not for hand applique.
Not for hand.
I know. Well, somebody said to me, "Oh, do that," and I thought I'm going to persevere with this, and then the thread kept breaking, and it just, wasn't a good idea. Then I moved on to Aurifil after that. But I think also is the same, aren't they? We all go on these strange journeys where you try one thing because somebody recommends it, and then you eventually end up where you want to be.
Yeah, it's finding what suits you,
Yes.
what suits your machine.
Yeah.
I mean, some monofilament threads just won't work on some machines.
Okay.
And if you've got a monofilament thread that doesn't work very well with your machine, I would suggest that you put it in a cup, and put it by the side of your machine, and then put it up onto the machine. And that sometimes helps. It's because of the wind in it.
Oh, I see. To give it a bit of extra tension.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you thread it through the machine in the normal way?
Yes. Yeah.
But it's that distance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In a cup or
I don't think
something.
I've ever used monofilament in my machine. I think after my EPP experience with it, I didn't really like it anymore. So maybe I'll try again.
Or, use it on a thread stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice as well with this panel because you've got these 10 extra ones. It means that you can have a little play. You can try the different versions that you've said.
Yeah.
So that if you then want to do your own EPP later, you've had a go at these little things. Oh, there's a square of fabric there as well. There's lots. Actually, when you look at the panel, you suddenly find all these other things.
Yeah. So There's some different ideas with the Hexies. Can I show you the other ideas?
Do. Lots of ideas.
Right.
Love ideas.
Okay, let's put this.
That looks really good.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, but quite a nice quick
Yeah.
make as well, but very effective. And again, you know, if you wanted to put extra things, you could even sew a button on the middle of the buttons, couldn't you? Or embroider. I'd embroider over the needle and the thread.
Okay, this one. So the different ideas that I had with the panel, the pink one, is you could. There's a bobbin, a reel of.
Oh yeah, a reel of thread.
I mean, you could just cut that out and use some Bonder web and put it in the middle. Applique it. You could use.
Oh, like you did with the bee cushion.
Yeah, you could use a straight stitch or a zigzag, or you like you touched on earlier. You could go for some trapunto.
Oh yes, I love trapunto.
So
I've done that for ages.
I'm going to sew this on here, and then I'll put the. I've got some stuffing. I'll put it in the back.
Oh yeah.
And we'll see what it looks
Oh,
like.
okay, no, that'd be great.
It's a bit experimental, mind.
Like a bit of experimental. I know, but there's so many different elements on there. You can have a go at different things without committing yourself to something. It's a way of having a practice, because if you've not tried trapunto before, you know the effect. It's really interesting.
Well, I'm guessing that 01 is going to be a straight stitch. So if I was home, I would probably use some stabiliser, but I'm not going to use anything at all on this and just see what happens.
So just a straight stitch?
Yeah, I'm just going to go for a straight stitch.
Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of, you know, you can machine embroider these first, or you can embroider on hand embroider, and there's so much you can do with it, which is nice because we've all got different things that we like. And I'm always amazed when we sell panels, when you send us photos of what you've done with them, that what you do, you think, oh, I never thought of that. That's such a good idea. So you should do, if you buy one of these panels, do send us a photo of what you make with it. Because when you look at it, there's all of these labels as well. What have you done with these? Because on the label, some of them say handmade by, and there's a space where you can embroider your name or write in it. Use your early bird pens to write on them. You've got a square fabric here. You've got this one. You've got the extra rectangular fabric there. There's so many different things. So what did you do with yours? And did you make 2 cushions, or did you use it for the cushion back? But it's nice that you have got quite a quick make here, because we don't always want everything to take ages. Oh, Becky Alexander Frost has messaged in.
Hi, Becky.
Says, morning Sally, morning Becca, love your jumper. Oh, you could have it, Becky, as well. Yeah, they didn't have a B, they had an R. And actually, I went to them buy another one and they've gone now. Gone, I got it in the sale, yeah. Well, I bought it from White Stuff, just so you know. I was doing some research for Yarn Lane. This is how things go. And I was looking at what colours are in this season, because I was looking at new jumpers, because I was trying to commission some kits, some patterns for the sort of spring shows. Before I knew it, in my research, this jumper just jumped into my shopping basket. However, it was less than half price, and they did have an R left. So it was almost like fate. It was fate. So they didn't have all the letters left, but they had an R, and it was in my size, and it was in the sale. So that's what happens when you're doing jumper research. That always happens when I'm doing anything for Sewing Street. If I'm doing some research things just sort of jump into my basket. I think, oh. Do you know what I bought the other day? So excited. Point turners. Have you ever used, no, not point turners, for turning tubes around, rouleau loop turners?
Yes.
What are they called?
Yeah.
We sell them, don't we? I think we sell them.
But they're magical. The first time you watch it, you just...
Oh, wow. Honestly, my life changed this weekend. Right.
Okay, so I've sewn all the way around the edge of the bobbin. If I was at home, I'd cut up close to where I've sewn, but I'm not. So
you sew it first,
yeah,
and then you cut it.
Yeah, and I cut it back. Then we're going to try and make a little hole from behind. Hope that you didn't go all the way through, because that would be disastrous. And then I've just got some little poly stuffing. Might have to have a bigger hole than that.
Cat's now on the White Stuff web shop shopping for my jumper. Have they got a sea cat?
Ooh, bigger.
I can't remember. I was just there. No, that was it.
Right, let's put some in here.
Bumblebee Finished is still way in the lead. Really? See, if I put them in order, that would have been the bottom one. Well, only because I would prefer to, I like the Notions one best, and I'd prefer to do the EPP myself. So that would be the only reason. They have got R's, but they haven't got any R's left in the medium. We're having a discussion here. Which is the size I bought. And I was going to get another one for my friend. But I think I must have bought the last one.
Try to even it out as much as I
Okay, so
can.
you cut the slit in the back.
Yep.
And then you...
And then I'm going to give it a back. So I think I might just put this over
How do you
the
know
back.
how much to put in?
Sort of guesswork.
Right. So it's just sort of full, but not...
Sort of full, but not full. Okay. See what happens now then. So what I'm going to try and do is just quilt on the lines of the thread.
Right, okay. So you would have normally cut out round the... How much outside your line of stitching would you cut?
Oh, quite close to the stitching line, probably
Okay.
about an eighth away from the edge. So
Right.
it's just raw edge applique. Right. I'm still telling the machine we have bonded. So also I'd use some 505 or something to stick.
Okay, so you
back
just
down.
put just a piece on there
Yeah.
so stop everything falling
Yeah,
out.
exactly. So let's put some pins in it. Make sure that it's not going anywhere.
It looks like a little sort of internal cushion. Cat loves trapunto. I do.
Right, let's try now.
It's just really nice because there is so much that you can do with this and things that you can have a go at.
Let's move you down. Right, so I've got 01, 2.4 should be fine. Okay.
So I guess you can then just sew, you can just leave it like that. Without, so if you were doing trapunto of a big shape like this, would you always do extra quilting on top of it?
What do you mean by
Well, you know, with the extra lines you're doing, or could you just leave it as
you
it
could leave
was?
it. You could just leave it.
But
I mean,
doing the extra gives it some...
this gives it sort of some extra texture, and
This
I was just excited to see if it.
This is like super puffy quilting, isn't it? Super high loft.
Yeah, but it's amazing how much it's coming down. Whether it's there you go. Stop there so you can just see. Okay, so if you want to go in.
Ooh.
Can you see
Can
it's
we have a
beginning?
close-up, please, Bob?
Yeah. So you've got to imagine that all this.
Yes, imagine
is
all of
cut
that.
away.
And that's amazing.
And then you're getting sort of a three-dimensional.
Yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? And then I guess you could sew over the needle as well.
Yeah, you could do whatever you wanted to.
Yeah, I guess you could do you could hand sew it as well, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could hand quilt through it, but that's lovely, and that's such a lovely technique that you can use for other things as well. So it's just a small motif like that. It really brings it to life.
Yeah, it does. It's a texture thing.
I
isn't it?
like that.
Okay, final thing.
Final.
It's just the easy peasy. Use your 505 spray and layer up your panel.
Right. So this is actually how to make
So this is just quilting it.
the cushion.
Yes. So I've got the walking foot on. I'm just going to start quilting all the way around there, so you can see how it begins to, it's so quick.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you is, how do you decide what order where do you start?
Okay, so you always start in the middle. So when you baste a quilt, when you make a cushion like this, anything that's quilted, you always start in the middle and work your way out.
Okay.
To avoid lumps and bumps and all the rest of
Right.
it. I always use 505 spray, love it, but you only spray the batting, not the fabric.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And do you have to you just press it on, or do you iron it?
so I'll do this exactly. This is exactly the same way as I would baste a quilt. So I would have my quilt top, and I would have it in half. Sorry, I would spray. Let's think about this. I would spray half of it, then lay this on top. Then I pull back the other half, spray that,
So you're always working from the centre.
Yeah. and put it back on top. And then I do exactly the same thing on the other side. Spray the batting, put it back on top, put it back. And usually it's one of my sons that's the other end of this, so they're pulling it back with me. And we pull it back. He pulls it back down his end, I pull it back down my end. I do a quarter spray, he does a quarter spray. Then we lean in together and smooth it from the middle.
Right.
So it's exactly the same way as you would baste a quilt.
Okay. And then you don't have to do any tacking.
I hate tacking.
So do I. I absolutely hate it. Hate it.
So anyway, let's put this under here and see what begins.
So you start in the middle, but how do
Yeah.
you decide what order to go round? Because you must have to keep stopping and starting.
I just go for the longest lines I can put in. It just seems logical to me. So I would do this with a slightly longer stitch, so probably about at 2.8.
Okay.
Slightly longer to make it sit, because it seems to sit better with a slightly longer stitch. I would do it with a needle down facility, and if you've got a knee lift, with that as well.
So I suppose you can go around the centre hexagon first.
Yeah.
And then, do you then, when you get to the bit where you think, do you go back over the same line?
I don't go back over the same quilting lines. I put the ones in between. Are you talking about the...
Yeah, well, I was just working out a route. So if I went all the way around the hexagon, then I'd go up the side around there, but then I'd need to get back to the end. So do you always sort of finish off and then start again?
Yeah, so I would go around this in a circle, then I'd do the next circle, then I'd put the lines in between.
Yeah, okay.
And start building out that way.
But you've got to keep stopping and starting doing those in between.
Yeah, you do need to stop and start, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yes, I was just that's why I was interested, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that. That's a much better way. I would have sort of gone round 4 sides of the hexagon and then realised that I couldn't get back again. But I guess by going round the outer rings each time, it's...
Yeah, and it follows the sort of logic of
Yes.
quilting from the centre outwards.
And do you ever go back, because I do that, which is cheating, you shouldn't do that, should you? Go back over the same line to get back to somewhere else?
Oh, never.
Is that bad?
Of course I do.
No, I don't do that either, ever, actually. I was just lying. No, I've never, ever, ever gone back over the same line. I don't like the stopping and starting, though, because I don't do any of that tying off on the back stuff, which you should do.
Oh, yes.
Do you do tying off on the back?
Well, that's sort of quilt show sort of standard
Yeah.
stuff, isn't it? So technically you're meant to not do a reverse, and then you're meant to pull the threads through to the back of your quilt, put them both through a needle, and then embed them in the back by using a Z stitch.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Of course I do it all the time.
Yeah, I've never
I
done
know
that.
how to do
I've
it.
even admitted to going back over the same thing. So do you do a little reverse?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it depends what you're making, doesn't it? I mean, somebody said to me before now about making quilts that most of the quilts you make are what you call love quilts, are for family members and people that you want to give them to. Very few are going to be actually competition quilts.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing wrong with
is
a bit
your
of a
love
reverse
quilt going to
stitch.
get inspected?
No,
for
no,
Z
and I
stitches
don't
on-
care either. And if I've gone back over the same line as well. It's the sort of thing that I start off really good, And then as I get further, I think, this is why I'm of the great idea that you send your quilts away to be quilted by someone else who loves them. Although I wouldn't do that with a Hexie cushion, I would actually do that myself. I think maybe that's why I like hand quilting.
Yeah, and again, you could hand quilt this so easily because it's a nice size for your lap, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's very good for a box set as well. And actually, you could almost do subtitle box set with this because you don't, you can keep looking up and down. You haven't got to sort of check where you are.
So do we have a recommended box set to go with this?
I don't know, actually. But, I do have subtitle crafts and non-subtitle crafts. So I can crochet to subtitles, but I can't embroider to them because I have to look.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go over the first 2 stitches. Well, I might even just do 1 reverse stitch. There we go.
It's lovely colours, this, isn't it? So it's really soft. When I was just watching you quilting it looks really pretty in there.
Yeah, it's really... There you go. So that's like the first line, and as I said, I would go all the way around this one next and then put the lines in between.
Okay.
I mean, you could use heavier weight threads.
Yes. Pretty threads.
Pretty threads, variegated threads.
Yes, you could make a real feature of the quilting, couldn't you?
Yeah, and you could do ties, like I said earlier on.
That would be nice.
Ties would be quite pretty.
And buttons.
Buttons to echo the buttons already on there. Yeah, there's loads of things that you can do with it. But this is a good way to practice your quilting. I mean, you could ignore the fact, and
that's true
completely, and just go for use your like an all-over stipple.
Yes, and that would be a good
and that
time
would be
to
nice.
Practice it, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be really nice because it would just create a texture. If you used a monofilament and a see-through thread, you'd just create a texture in it then.
That's lovely. Yeah, and that's nice, isn't it? Because like you say, we all have different things that we like and don't like and different methods of doing things. And, this is your panel. You can do what you like with it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sallieann. It's been great. I've learned so much this morning and admitted bad things as bad habits. But I have learned loads as well. So when are you back with us?
The 8th of February.
Okay, lovely. Well, I'll see you then. I hope you get back all right.
Yeah, I do too.
So we'll have a quick recap of the bundles. Which one shall we do first, Kat? I'm going to do this one first because it's in front of me. So this is the complete panel Notions, called Notions Complete Cushion Fabric Panel, as in it's complete and finished and it's got the extra bits, the one that we've just been talking about. There it is on screen, $14.99. It's got the front, the back and all the extra pieces to do lots of things with. But remember, because you've got the cushion front and the cushion back, if you use like a plain cream, white, ivory, a pink, a grey, you've got 2 cushions. So easily. So that's actually really good value. And then you've got 10 EPP pieces, an applique sewing reel and a square of fabric and another square, and loads of labels, which are really useful to use. All of that for $14.99. And these are exclusive. You cannot buy these anywhere else but here. So this is exactly, just make sure I put the right one. This is exactly the same thing but Bumblebee. So this is called Complete Bumblebee. This is the most popular so far, and well over half of the stock has gone. I love the spots. They're really nice, aren't they? You've got spots and solids, and this is so lovely because all the bees are facing the right direction. So if you were doing this yourself, you might end up with them going the wrong way, but they're all facing, because bees fly outwards, don't they? Like in a dance. Well, they all sort of, when you see pictures, they all sort of be flying out from the hive. That is the hive, and then they will fly out in different directions. There's the back of it, which again you can use for the second cushion. And then on this side, again, you've got 10 hexies, you've got the applique bee, you've got all the labels, you've got that piece of fabric, and the spare ones, the spare bees, to do all the things. But you could put little, if you went onto our jewellery maker website, you could buy little seed beads to put on the bees as well. But if you, when you bought this one and you've done something with it, please send us the photos, because it's really nice to see at the page. Put it on the Facebook fan page to show us all. Then this is if you want to do the proper EPP. This is where all the hexagon, this is proper EPP, but it's easy EPP because all of the pieces are printed, even the corner pieces where you only need part hexes. And this is where you end up often wasting a lot of fabric because you cut out a whole one for only needing a small point. But the great thing about this is that all the pieces are printed so they're facing the right way. So I would say before you cut it out, put it on the floor and stand on a chair, because you need to get an aerial view of it, and take a photo of what it looks like so that when you assemble it, you put it in the right order. The other idea that you can do is just cut out one ring at a time. So cut out the centre one and then just cut out those and sew them on, because you have to cut around the outer edge, so you've got plenty of room, and then cut that ring, and then you can do them one ring at a time. On the other side of the panel, again, you've got spare hexagons, just like with that panel, so that's great because you can use that for other things, or if you happen to lose one and you need an extra one, or you want to change the colour of a button maybe and make it slightly different. You've got the back there, you've got the extra piece, you've got the applique spool, you've got a strip of fabric, so you could use that for a border, and labels as well. So that's all on that panel. And I'm just going to fold it up, that's getting confusing. And then exactly the same thing, but in the Bumblebee, which is this pack. Oh, remember, I forgot to say, in that pack you get the 100 pre-cut EPP Hexes, because nobody ever wants to cut those out. That's worse than basting. That's saying something. Oh, it's so big, isn't it? It's amazing, isn't it, that makes that.
Yeah.
So that's lovely, isn't it?
I'm looking at the panel now and thinking, those extra bees, you could make a lovely pincushion with that in a flower shape.
Oh, you could actually, couldn't you?
Yeah,
so you
'cause
could
you'd only
have
one
7 of them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that would look really nice,
I
wouldn't it?
missed that.
And then you could use that sort of as the template for the back piece. Yeah, there you go, see? So it depends whether you want bees or notions and whether you want it pre-made or not pre-made. Up to you, or both. And then that's everything. Everything for the whole hour. Thank you so much. So I will see you in just a couple of minutes where we've got loads of workroom tools and a few things that I didn't know we did, so I was quite excited to see them. So I will see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street, and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So, number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seams stronger and also help to prevent lint building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find these useful. We'll see you soon.
Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
Hi there.
My name's Alison Marion and I'm thrilled to be joining the Sewing Street family. I live in Staffordshire where I run a couple of sewing groups and I have a passion for vintage sewing machines and also applique. I've stitched in some form for as long as I can remember, but I absolutely love teaching and helping people stretch their skills and hopefully demystifying some of the techniques that can be quite daunting for beginners. So I'm looking forward to meeting the team and getting into the studio. See you soon.
While we're having to spend more time at home again, we're here to keep you busy and entertained. Sewing Street will be live every day from 8 a.m, bringing you plenty of demonstrations with our experts in dressmaking, quilting, bag making, toy making, needle felting, embroidery, and so much more. Our community of fellow sewists on the Sewing Street fans Facebook group are there to chat to you about whatever you're making, sharing photos and advice. Check out the Sewing Street Facebook and Instagram pages for fun competitions and offers.
Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too.
And welcome back to Sewing Street. So this hour is all about workroom tools. If you're anything like me, love a tool, love a gadget, anything that makes life a bit easier or just a bit simpler. It's quite nice to have all these different things. I have got a workroom bursting with tools, but I know the ones I like and the ones I don't. I discovered some at the weekend, fantastic. So when we get those back in stock, I'm going to make sure we use those. So I'm going to start off with this fantastic back in stock Fiskars cutter. I need to turn my mat round though to show you what it looks like, because I want it to work that way. And the extra large cutting mat, which just fits that table. So you know how you have your cutting ruler and your rotary cutter. This is the two joined together. So this is ideal for if you cut a lot of fabric because it's much easier on the hands, or maybe maybe you like making up kits. Maybe you've got your own little business like on Etsy or something and you want to make kits and you do lots of cutting. Or if you just do lots of strip piecing, so you're cutting strips. Because the other great thing about it is it allows a greater degree of accuracy because it really doesn't slip. So when you're, the way that these rulers, the 24-inch ones, are developed are so that when you get a piece of fabric that's cut completely from selvage to selvage, you fold it in half and then you can cut. So say you have to cut, I don't know, a 2.5-inch strip from a full width of fabric. If you fold it in half, you can then put the ruler on top and cut across the full width. So that's what this is for. And when you're cutting across the whole width of fabric, although you put your hand on flat, it does sometimes move. I tend to sort of cut halfway and then make sure and move my hand. With this, it's fantastic because it's got the extra weight on it. It really does hold it flat. So here's a piece of fabric here, which is not full width. So I'll just fold it in half to show you. I might put my glasses on so I don't cut my fingers off, because that would be unfortunate at this stage. Unfortunate. So line up the fabric. I'm going to fold mine in half so you can see what I mean, on one of the lines of the cutting mat. Make sure it's nice and flat. And then I'm going to line up the edge of the ruler in exactly the same way you would with the normal ruler. And then hold this flat, and this won't move as well. And then all you have to do is press down. So if you struggle with dexterity at all and you find it hard, particularly if you're cutting through multi-layers, when you're using a rotary cutter, here's one here. When you're using a rotary cutter, you know, you've got to be gripping it like this and pressing quite hard. That action with your wrist is much harder. Then it cuts lovely. So all you're doing with this, let's bring it forward a bit, is, it's like a guillotine, isn't it? You can cut either way. I prefer to cut away from me. I think it's safer. I mean, obviously this is safer than a normal rotary cutter because the blade only engages when you press it down. When you bring your hand up, the blade is fit. So if you can do it towards you, you shouldn't do it really. I tend to do it away. But look, there's 4 layers. So you just press it down, go through. Look at that. Look at that. That's like a 1/2 inch strip. So should we have another go? This is where it won't work because I haven't tried this. About how many layers I can get through. But it's great that you can cut really narrow strips. Oh, look at that. Nearly. Do you know, it went through, I should have pressed a bit harder, everything but a couple of threads on the bottom. So that's quite a lot of fabric, and you really don't have to put as much pressure on as if you're using the normal rotary cutter. And it is more stable, and you don't have to hold it. I'm going to give that another go. I reckon I can get through that. Yeah, look at that, see? Just didn't press hard enough. Went through all. It's really, really easy to change the blade on here, and the instructions come with it about how to do it. So it's a normal, if I show you underneath, it's a normal 45mm blade which comes with this size rotary cutter, and it's really easy to change it, and you can use it for any of them. But it's safer as well because the blade, if I show you like this, the blade only engages when your hand presses down, and then it's gone. So it's a great size. You should always have a full length one like this because you can use it for cutting half widths of fabric. But it's also nice and weighty, and it's got that blade, so it's perfect for that. And it's back in stock today, so that's good. It's obviously so June has just messaged in and she's looking for the notions, the pink Hexie panel we had, and you need to click on watch live and scroll right down to the bottom. It was played in the first hour because of the problems we were having with it, so therefore it's now at the bottom. So you scroll, because everything that comes in on air comes to the top. So it's done in sort of reverse order. So only the newest stuff is there. So everything that we showed right at the beginning, or things that Kat put in right at the beginning, are right down the bottom. So just keep scrolling down and then you'll find it. Okay? And we've also got this extra large cutting mat. Now I love this, and this is the mat. I'm going to turn it around, that I have at home. Now obviously you do need a table big enough to put it on. I mean, it's not massive. I have seen one bigger than this, which is really big, and I love this cutting mat because it's a really good size. You can easily cut a full width of fabric. So it is, well, the measurements are on here, 34 inches. That's the cutting area, so it's an inch bigger, but the actual cutting area is 34 inches that way and 22 the other way. So that's a really nice big space. I have this that lives on the table because it's just great as a workspace. I mean, obviously not for anything to do with glue or any other crafts, but it's a really good place when you're sort of laying things out. You're either using it for cutting or you're laying pieces out, or I use it as my sort of clean area. If I'm going away from a project and leaving it overnight for a couple of days, I keep it on here. But it's just a really nice big area you can cut, and when you're rotary cutting, the less you move the fabric the better. So if you're cutting a long strip, sometimes you will have to shuffle it along, but the bigger the cutting mat, the more accuracy. And also you can turn it round, so if you're cutting, you know, this way, that's fine, but you can, if you're going to be cutting full length, I mean, this 22-inch side will cut a full width of fabric folded in half. But if you wanted to be cutting more, you can turn it the other way round and cut that way. So it's just, you know, if you've not tried rotary cutting before and you think you want to start making quilts and using it, because rotary cutting isn't just about quilt making. Use it a lot in dressmaking and other hand sewing. When I'm making bags, I'm always cutting 2 and 1 inch strips and 4 inch squares, even for bag making and cushion making and makeup bags. If you're doing binding on or anything, much easier to cut with a rotary cutter. So for any general sewing, it's a great thing to have. And if you're just starting out with it, I would get the biggest mat you can, to be honest, because you will find that you will need a bigger one. I have a smaller one as well, just for when I'm doing cutting half square triangles, just trimming off the ears, or if I'm doing a FPP so I can twiddle it round. But on all honesty, it's the big ones that I use the most. And $37.99, it's quite good value. Do remember, it must be stored flat. I tend to keep mine on the table, and actually, even if you're using another room, you can put a tablecloth on top of it. Be careful about heat though. They really don't like heat, and they definitely don't like to be ironed. So don't lean it up against the wall. If you're having to take it off the table, then store it flat, maybe under a bed or under a table or something, but they will warp. They don't like being stored bended. They should come actually with holes so you could hang them, like some of the rulers do, but keep them stored flat. But I have had my cutting mat for years, like over 10, I'm not sure how many, maybe 20, and I've never bought a new one. And I know eventually they do go through, because I know in the fabric store that I always go to, they get through them because they get grooves in, but then they're obviously doing a lot more cutting than I am. But it's great. It's got all the angles on. It's got the 30 to 45 and the 60, which you need when you're cutting things like half square triangles, and it is, I'm just going to have to turn it over. So this side is imperial and this side is metric, which is fantastic because some things come in metric and some things come in imperial, and it's nice to have both sides. And it's got all the part measurements. It's got the measurements down the centre, which is great because sometimes when you're cutting things, you don't know where the measurement is because you can't see it. Maybe that bit's covered with fabric. So this is a fantastic quality cutting mat. I love it. And it's back in stock, which is always good. It's always good. Right, we're now going to do, there it is. Let me just move the rotary cutter, which I don't need. So the sewing starter kit, sewing starter kit. This is ideal. So anyone who's getting into sewing at the moment, or anyone who wants someone to be getting into sewing at the moment, maybe someone's bought their new home, they've moved out. How do you get it out? There we go. They're going off to university. They want to try some sewing. This is brilliant. Can I open it? Oh, yes. I love opening new things. Just saying. Because normally they're going, you can't open it. So June, if you're still looking for the panel and you can't find it, phone the call centre. The number's on screen, 0800 001 4433. If you tell them what you're looking for, they're ever so helpful. They're very kind and patient and understanding. I know, because I've phoned them. Right. So in here it says it does 167, and I'm not going to count them. 167 pieces in here. I don't want to wait. I've got to make sure that's okay. You really don't want to open this upside down. But it's a really useful storage box as well, and it has compartments. It has 2 compartments. Look at this, it's $19.99. You just can't go wrong. In it, it works out as 11 pence per item. So you've got all the sewing thread and all these colours, but not only that, you've got the bobbins pre-wound in the same colours. You've got monofilament thread in black and white, like Sallieann was just talking about, and extra black and white. You've got elastic, perfect for your knickers or a face mask. You've got a stitch ripper. That's just the bottom tray. Now, if we move to the top tray, actually you can see all right even if I do that, can't you? You've got darning thread, because obviously if you want to mend something, your socks, or you could use it for wool embroidery. Whether you want to mend your socks or darn something, it doesn't have to be used for darning, but if you need to sew something on with a bit of wool, you've got hook and loop tape. You've got the fluffy side and the hook side. You've got these are great press studs, 2 sets of press needle threader, sewing needles. Ooh, what's that? I wonder what that's for. Looks like a golf tee. That's probably very important. All right, anybody know, I'll just put that, what that's for? Can you see? What is that for? Prize. I have no idea. If anyone knows what that's for, message me at the studio. Give me a ring. Just give me a ring. Give me a ring. Because I have no idea what that's for. But it's probably very useful. There's a pin cushion, a little bit with the foam for a pin cushion. You've got a whole packet of pins here with a pin cushion in the middle, pins inside. You've got 2 packs of sewing machine needles. You've got jeans and you've got universal, which are the ones that most people universal will do anything. Jeans for when you're going through thick stuff. You've got 2 reels of shearing elastic, which is great if you're doing traditional smocking, but also really useful if you're maybe doing something like, you know, when you're gathering a sleeve and rather than pleating it and putting it in, you can put shearing elastic, zigzag stitch over it, and it will gather it for you. Brilliant. I love shearing elastic. You've got these pre-wound. This is black and white thread, but it's extra thick. So these are perfect for sewing on buttons because the thread has got that extra thickness and it's extra strength in black and white. You've got a thimble. You have a clip, like a lanyard clip. If you want to make your own lanyard. Safety pins, obviously very important. Proper scissors, proper decent size, not just rubbish scissors. A tape measure and a chalk marker with the brushy thing. And it's got like the hero marker where you can mark fabric, but just by making a mark, not as like a drawn line. And then it's a white chalk. Right, Wilma says it's for making a hole in a tea towel. What, so that you can put the 2 straps to attach your tea towel, to make a tea towel loop. Well, I never. That's fantastic. So all of that for £19.99. So 11 pence per item. And that doesn't include the box, which is very handy because you can refill it. I mean, you know, someone who's going new home, someone's going away, someone who's just getting started in sewing, or, you know, when you see some people and you look at their sewing box and you just want to tut very loudly and go, I cannot believe that is your sewing box. Firstly, you've got needles that I don't even know where you could have bought them from because they're so blunt. You've got a few pins and your thread's rubbish, but look at this. Everything. So you could even buy somebody a really nice sewing box, which we sell on the website, to put all of this in. But that really is everything you need for starter. I mean, obviously, £19.99, these aren't all sort of brand labels, top quality, amazing, but this is fantastic to get you going, get you started, build up your stash. Replace that shocking, if anyone's ever shaken their head and tutted at the state of your sewing box, you need to buy yourself one of those. Yeah, you look like, oh, look at me with my pre-wound bobbins. Yeah, now I'm going to do the applique mat now because I didn't know we did these. And I have got one, but sort of a different, I use a silicone mat. And they are brilliant. Don't open it, she's not. Oh, there's one open. I wondered what that was. Funny. So, now I use a silicone mat for that, and I didn't know we did. Now these are brilliant. So if you're ever using Bonder web or interfacing and it sticks to your ironing board, which it used to happen to me all the time, and then I get sticky bits, which then get fluffy bits, which then get transferred to your shirts when you're ironing, so if you want to put Bonder web onto something, place that motif, that fabric, right side up onto here, and then put your Bonder web or your interfacing, whatever you're interfacing, sticky side down, then you can press onto this, and then the Bonder web or the interfacing will lift off this. It won't stick to this, but will just adhere to that. So sometimes it's really hard. Say you've got to, they say put interfacing on, you're making maybe a strap loop or something that's like 3 inches square, and then you try cutting a piece of interfacing exactly that size and pressing it into the middle. Or you end up using a spare sort of waste piece of fabric so you don't mark your ironing board. But with this, honestly, you can bond onto it and it will just lift off. It's perfect for that. Or the other thing is maybe you're doing a plique and you're layering things. So maybe you've got like a leaf and you've got petals and you've got the centre of the flower and you want to layer it all. Now and then press it all together in one go. Some of it, the bottom part, will start sticking, but you can pick that up. And the amazing thing is, if it's done with Bondi web, it remains sticky so that you can then press it again to something else. So it's only a small square. It's, to say, that's a bit specific, isn't it? 31 by 30 centimetres. It's 31 by 30 centimetres, which is 12.2 times 11.8 inches. So it's a small square, but it's just right for those little things where you don't want to mark your ironing board. So very useful piece of equipment that will save your ironing board. Bondi web next. Speaking of Bondi web, there is the Bondi web. I love Bondi web. It's like I wish I could remember the day I discovered it, because I'd still be excited. It's amazing. You can use it for so many things, personalising things, putting initials on things, like on the packet they put stars on the jeans. It's brilliant for attaching pieces together before you sew them. It's basically like double-sided sticky tape, but for the fabric version, the interfacing version. So you stick it to one side, you cut it out, and then you can peel off the paper backing and stick something in place. It is really useful. If you were like, say you were sewing one of the labels that we did in the last panel onto something to personalise it, when it's a small piece like that, much easier to Bondi web it on first and then sew it on. It's more accurate. I reckon, yes, Kat was saying about 50% of our projects include Bondi web. Now this is 17.5 centimetres wide, but it's 1.2 metres long. So this is ideal for all those little bits and pieces. It's a very long, narrow strip. We do also sell it on the roll. If you want bigger, if you do, I buy mine on the roll because I do a lot of Bondi webbing, but if you want it for just small things, this is ideal. Or if you haven't used Bondi web before, and you always hear people going on about it, some people call it heat and bond. Bondi web is actually its trade name, but so really its proper name is fusible web. But most people you'll hear referring to as Bondi web. The other names are heat and bond, there's different ones, but fusible web is the real name. But if you haven't tried it, I would honestly pop this $2.99 in your basket. You won't look back. Rotary cutters. Oh, I've got 3 of them. 3 different sizes, and the blades. So I'm going to get them all. So we'll start with the most common size, which is the 45. This is the Goldilocks one. It's not too small and it's not too big. It's just right. They go, what are you on about? What are you on about? It's the Goldilocks rotary cutter. This is just the right size for just cutting for normal sort of cutting strips of fabric, or for things like foundation piecing, or just the generic normal size. Like the Clover one, it's very ergonomic, really fits in your hand nicely. It's easy to turn it on to push the blade out and put it back in. It's quite practical. It's quite pretty, which is always important. Nice 2 colours of green. $12.99, really affordable. It's also got, I mean, it tells you how to use it. You know, it's things like you just push the lever forward to expose the blade, pull it out. But it does show you, which is really important, is whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you can change it. You can reverse the cover, and there's instructions on the back for doing that. It also has a special cover which makes replacing the blades a lot easier so you don't cut yourself. And that tells you all about that. Now, obviously, spare blades are really important. I get through loads of blades, probably because I go over a lot of pins. Not on purpose, but I just know, oh, I'm covered in bits of thread. I'm always in a bit of a rush and I go over a blade, but actually I do a lot of cutting, so I do get through my blades. So it's nothing worse than battling against 2 or 3 fabric threads that aren't cutting because you haven't got the spare blade. So it's always worth having these. They come in a plastic case, which keeps them nice and safe. And you get a pack of 3, really useful. Then you could, because you always wonder what to do with the old blades, because you don't really want to put them in the bin. So you can put your old ones in there when you're finished. Just remember, you know, there are 3 in there. Don't put them all in there. But if you buy a rotary cutter, always have the spare blades. It's a bit like your sewing machine, always have spare needles, always have Hoover bags. vacuum cleaner bags. You know, it's one of those things. So the next size is the 28 mil, so just a little bit smaller. Now this is often used when people do dressmaking, if they're doing freehand round curves, if you're doing FPP where you just want the smaller cut, or if you're really cutting tiny things, maybe you're cutting little hexagons out or something, then the smaller one, obviously because there's a smaller circumference, you can get around the tighter curves easier. It works in exactly the same way. You can change it to right hand and left hand. It's got the special cover. It's just for sort of fine cutting, and it has 2 blades. Now because these are little and they're a bit harder to change, it has a special protective cover which makes you can't cut, because they obviously, the way rotary cutters work is they are very, very sharp. So this one only £6.99. If you do rotary cutting, you will know what I mean. There are some times when you just can't get around the corners, so you need the 28 mil. Now even smaller, baby one. So this is the 18 mil. Now obviously you can use this in dressmaking as well for really tight curves or corners, but you can use it a lot in applique and things like, you know, say that you want to cut out a bondeweb, you've bondewebbed a flower and you really need some very sort of intricate things. These 45 mil ones just will not get into those corners, whereas this has got so much control. As it says, it cuts out curved pieces like drawing a line with a pen, and it really does. When I'm using the bigger 45 mil cutter, if I'm cutting out something, say on a panel where you've got to get very close to it, I have to stop cutting and then use scissors to do that final bit. This, it is honestly like drawing with a pen. So you hold it, whereas with the, I can take this out because it's not stuck in, which is like, that's the rules in the shop. Yeah, because look at that. See, look, see, no one will know. So when you do a normal rotary cutter, you do it like that. But if you do this, you can use it actually like a pen. So you have a great degree of control with it. I mean, you can use it like that, obviously. But really, you know, when you think, if you were cutting out a flower from something, the smaller one like this. So if you do struggle to cut out small pieces, then this is ideal. Look, and I can slide it back in just like that, and no one knows. Nobody knows. But we've also got, very important, 2 spare blades, and it comes with a case so you can store them. So that's just exactly the 2 mils that you need, and it does show you on the back of all the blades, actually I didn't say that with the others, it does show you how to do it. So read that. Do read that first, because the first time I did it, I undid it all and went, oh yeah, and then I thought, oh, God, I can't remember which way around it went. And it is quite important to get it back together the right way. But, you know, I would say if you do applique or you do lots of rotary cutting, get all 3. There's also a bigger one, which we obviously haven't got at the moment, the 60 mil. I've got one of those as well. But the 60 mil is quite good for big cutting. I don't use it very much. These are the ones I do use. So Gutermann threads. Got loads of different threads. I like Gutermann threads actually. So should we use the tin? I like the tin. I love a tin. I think I'm just a sucker for marketing. I've got an OXO tin. I've got a Bisto tin. Oh, they had a special offer in the supermarket where you got like a whole tin of OXO filled with the cubes. Oh, couldn't resist it. I did it with it's the nicest tin. I love a tin. I've got a Bisto tin as well. So now this is lovely because this is a sewing thread tin. It's the tin that does it for me, but isn't it lovely? It's got a picture of the Gutermann factory. Anyway, so you can store them all up there, or you can not store them all and keep the tin. But what a colour range. So you've got 48 spools in here. Now you've got the normal colours, the black and the white and the greys and the browns that you do need, but then you've got all the other colours and not just one of them. So if we look at the blue, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blues as well as 3 turquoises. You've got 3 yellows, you've got 2 oranges and 2 golds. You go from pale pink, oh I think that one should be there, let's move that. You've got pale pink all the way through to bright pink, raspberry pink berry, up to wine coloured. You've got all the greens. So really, you know, this is every colour you're going to need. So not include paying for the tin, pretending that the tin is free, £1.24 a spool. Now, what do you normally pay for one of these? It's 100 metres, Gutermann, brilliant quality, sew all, polyester thread. What a bargain. And if you're like me, you get through loads and loads and loads of thread. And it's nice to have this colour choice. It's a nice present, isn't it? It's nice to give to somebody. And on the back of the tin, on the back, not the back of the tin, back of the packaging, it's got all the colour numbers, which is really useful because if you think, oh, I really love that green, it went perfectly with that, it's got the numbers so that you can then buy them again. But for 48 bobbins, that's fantastic, isn't it? Because then you know, at the moment particularly when you're not being able to get out to the shops and you can't get the colour thread you've got, if you've got this tin, that's got pretty much every colour you're going to need. And then you can replace them as you go along. Or you could just keep the tin for putting thin biscuits in. Like Garibaldi's, that's what I'd put in there. Be quite nice for bourbons as well, wouldn't it? They'd fit quite well. Or buttons, yes, I was thinking biscuits. Right, this is the Millwood Spool Thread Organiser, which is really useful, isn't it? Because, should we have a little... If you want to fit all these in, you'll need two. But I just wanted to... Irene's bought 4. But what I love about these is you can get so many in them, but they stack. So I'll just put a few in. Then I'll have to try and put them back in the right place. Then you put them on them, and then they will stack on top of each other. So if your storage area, there's 27 spools you can get in here, by the way. If your storage area is quite small or limited, or you're just trying to tidy up so you've got a bit more space to put more stuff in, you think how much thread you can get in here. So you can get loads and loads. You'll be surprised, actually. I sorted out my thread last year. Oh, I actually didn't realise how much I had. But you can get absolutely loads in here. And what's nice is that if you've got loads, like I have, you can put all the sort of different colour ranges in different ones. And it's just easy because you just pick it up. And, you know, and they're safe. They're very good if you want to travel, if you want to take thread, because they're safe. They're kept in there. Kat's got 2 of these, one for her cool colours and one for her warm colours. That's nice, isn't it? So they fit very nicely. I'm not sure I've got those in the right order, but there we go. But 27, to count how many spools you've got. And it is a really good way because it's vertical storage. Vertical storage is very important, isn't it? Not horizontal storage, because horizontal storage uses up space, whereas vertical storage uses up air. Embroidery thread box, which is weird. This one. Now, I've bought 4 of these recently. So these boxes are brilliant because they are made for one thing. They are made for storing embroidery thread. It comes with the card bobbins, 100 of these, and you wind 1 skein of stranded cotton, fits perfectly around here without going above the here. Once you've wound it up, they fit in here. You can write the name or the number, or whatever you want of the thread if you need to know, because what I find is now if I'm doing embroidery, before I use the thread, I actually wind it onto a bobbin. This is why I have bought 4 of these recently and hundreds of these, because after you've pulled out maybe 2 or 3 lengths for here, then it starts getting a bit baggy and the label falls off and you have no idea what the number is. And then you just have all these random skeins and they're a real mess. But if you wind them around here first, write the number on, you save so much thread. But you also, in here, you will also get 10 skeins of DMC thread, just random colours. But these normally retail at £120, I think, or more per skein, maybe £180. And you'll get 10, I can't remember how much they're about £1.20 a skein normally, but you're getting for £9.99 the box, the 100 bobbins and 10 DMC skeins. And they're amazing. And I waste so much thread because although I used to keep my thread just all in a box very nicely and neatly like this, and I don't know what they did. But the next time I'd go in the box, they're all tangled, and I end up throwing up so much. So this is why I've spent literally hours. I have wound all of mine onto bobbins, written the numbers on, and now I can just easily see because they all lie in the little slots like this. And you can see them. You can see the colours. So these are it's actually a really nice, such a nice thing to do when you finally sorted out all your thread. And then you just buy more of them, depending on how many boxes you've got. And they all stack, and I've got loads of them. The all-purpose sewing clips. Is that this box here? But how many do we get in the box? 50. I love these. These are one of the best things I've got are the sewing clips. I use them for loads and loads of things. I mean, obviously they're ideal for leather or vinyl or PU or oilcloth or anything that you can't pin because you don't want to mark. They're also perfect for layers. So when you've got thickness, so when you don't, maybe you're using like that sort of foam interfacing, or maybe you're hemming jeans or something and you can't hold together. They're also really useful for other things like holding the top of a coffee packet closed. Little things like that. They're very good for non-sewing things. Or if you want to, maybe you've cut, like I cut lots of squares yesterday for a project, and I had 8 of them. I wanted them all to stay together, but I didn't want to pin them because they wouldn't have gone through. Clips are ideal for that. So they are just one of those things. And if this is a pack of 50, that's perfect because you need about that many. If you're doing a whole project, so say you're doing something where you've used some thicker like foam interfacing and you're needing to bind around the edge of it, the only thing to hold it on is this. The other thing they're really good for is if you need to like bind the edge of something and you need to pin it from one side, but you actually want to sew from the other, you then have to sort of fold the fabric over, pin it, then move all the pins to the other side. If you clip, you don't have to move, you can sew from either side. So if you want to sort of hold it in place on one side but sew from the other, the clips are ideal. I love these. And we do have pins as well. Have we got the oh, these are quilting pins. These are lovely. We've probably got an open packet for them somewhere, but there we are. I'm actually really good now at opening packets without anyone knowing. So, but you have to see these open to see the joy of them. Yes. Yeah. So I won't take them out because they are sorted into a nice order. Very nice order. So I'll take one out. Just the one. I like the fact that there's 2 colours as well because it's nice to pin things sometimes and show the colour. They are not going to show up very well on my hand. Will it show on this white fabric, do you think? Yes. So they're extra long and extra fine, so perfect for going through lots of layers. This is why they're called quilting pins, because they're ideal for when you're pinning a quilt together before you baste it. They've also got glass heads so you can iron over them and they won't melt. They come in 2 colours, so you can, if you need to, sometimes you need to pin one area and you want it to look different, say what that is, or sometimes if I want to remember to leave a space in something, then I'll use them. But I'll use a different colour, so maybe I need to remember that that's a notch or a mark, then I'll use a different colour. But they're just really, really nice pins. Really good steel, and they are very thin. I mean, they've got a bit of flexibility, a bit of bend to them, which is great when you're going through all different layers. So if you do quilting, your normal dressmaker pins just won't cut it. Or if you're doing something where you need that extra length, maybe you need to leave in a pin in something, and you know you need to leave it in, and you don't want it to come out, because you know what it's like when you're sewing. Pins often fall out. With these extra long ones, you can go in and out a few times, and then they'll stay in. So if you really need a particular area marking, rather than doing notches and stuff, they're perfect for that. And they come in a nice little box, and you can try and keep them just like that forever. Or alternatively, let me just slip that back in there. You can put them into this beautiful, I love this, rose gold. Oh, they just found one then. I'm not allowed to, I was just about to open that. They won't let me open it. This is one we use all the time. And it is, and it's great because it is magnetic. Look, it comes with does it come with 2 free pins? That's amazing. Three free pins. So I'll turn it upside down. It's got a rubber base so that it stays, and it's extra strong. So this non-slip rubber base stops things scratching, but you can, I need one of these. I had a whole, well, and I've got a dog, but I had a whole tin of pins on the ironing board and they fell off from the ironing board onto the floor. That's quite a distance, isn't it, for a pin to scatter. Do you know how long I took and how much fluff I had in my pin box afterwards? So all you do, because all the stuff fluff, is you go like this. I mean, look. That's just, oh, I like that. Wish I had one of those. It's just brilliant, isn't it? But also, the magnetic is not just about spinning pins, to be fair. It's also about when you're at the sewing machine and you're sewing and you're taking your pins out and you're taking them out fast and you know you're not supposed to put them in your mouth. You can just keep this beside your machine and you can just chuck them in and you don't have to be too accurate. But it's so nice, isn't it? There are other magnetic pin dishes on the market, but look at this. You can drop them in vertically as well. But it's just pretty, isn't it? It's just a really nice thing. So it's a lovely thing, and we have it sits here all the time. So it's a lovely thing to have. Do you know, it'd be really good for your loose change. I wonder if that's all I don't think it's all magnetic though, is it? It'd be good for things like that. Money's not magnetic. Wonder why that is. It'd be so much easier to pick up, wouldn't it? But that's just a lovely little thing. £8.99? Yeah. Very, very useful, but beautiful, which they should be, addition to your sewing room. Liberty Fat Quarters fabric. Let's do fabric. I'll move the white fabric so don't get confused. Right, we just wanted to bring you the last of the Liberty that we have at the moment. These are all fat quarters. And they're coming up on the screen. So there we go. So how many's in this fat quarter pack? 12. I'm going to show them to you. They're all from the Emporium range, and the inspiration behind the Emporium range is, have you ever been to the Liberty's flagship store on Regent Street? I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolute work of art. It's years old. And this range is based on the art and the architecture of the store. So there's a lot of ornate wood carvings and mouldings and tiles, and it's all based on that. And also some of the prints they've taken inspiration from the classic, you know, the beautiful flower stall that they have in the Liberty shop. Some of the floral prints are being taken by that. So it's called the Emporium because that's what that Liberty shop is. It's an emporium of delights, and they have taken the inspiration from the art and the architecture, and it's beautiful. So in this bundle, you get 12 fat quarters. This is not your sort of Liberty Tana Lawn Liberty. This is proper quilting weight Liberty. So there's this beautiful one. It's very Liberty, isn't it? It's very intricate vining, twining, and the colours that are in it. I love this one with this dusky pink background and peacock feather. I'm actually going to fold these up as I go as well. Right. I'm just going to fold these up, and then I can show. It's easier to sort of see them together if they're folded. Right, so we are low on numbers, but we wanted to offer you the last one. We've got only 10 of these left, and then that's it. When they're gone, they're gone. It's that lovely blue one with the mustard thing, but you know, they all go together beautifully because they're all inspired by the store. Look at the lovely paisley print. Be interesting to go to the store and take it around and see where each different one has come from, but really lovely. If you look on the Liberty website, it shows you a lot of detail about the fabrics and how they were inspired. This lovely peacock feather that is in the dusky pink is also in the grey as well. They go together really well, don't they? This beautiful paisley also comes in the blue, in this lovely sort of like a deep royal blue and a teal together. Very sort of coral, beautiful. I think that must come from some of the etchings there. The peacock feather also comes in the blue as well. Those are beautiful fabrics together, aren't they? What a lovely collection. They actually do all hang together really nicely. Got this beautiful mustard. I think this one is inspired by the flower stall. Then you've got this this one that's all twining. I think they've most of them got, that one's called Merton Rose, which is one of the Liberty ones. That's beautiful in a lovely red and also in that teal. That's beautiful, isn't it? It's very echoed in that, isn't it? Very similar colours. But that green is beautiful, isn't it? It's not your real sort of grassy green. It's really lovely. This blueprint here, I wonder what this one's called. Some of them have it on the selvage, depends where they've been cut. That is also comes in this colourway. That would be the wrong end of the selvage, of that lovely deep pink. And then you've got Merton Rose. So you've got the Merton Rose in those 3 colours. You've got that pattern there in 2 colours. You've got that in 2. You've got the peacock in 3. And then these extra 2 that go together. But the whole bundle sits together really well. Oh, I've just moved it. That's funny. We're playing camera tag now. But they are all quilting quality Liberty fabric. They're not your tunnels. They're beautiful quilting, but the prints are just exquisite, aren't they? They're exactly what you would expect from Liberty, because they know how to design, don't they? You know, if you don't want half meters, you just want little pieces. Like Sallieann was saying earlier, she keeps all of her Liberty scraps, everything I do as well. So if you don't know what a fat quarter is, because Kat didn't know, so I'll just tell her. She knows what it is. What they do? Well, they're different. It depends whether it's an American one or an English one. So if it's an American one, they take they cut half a yard of fabric, and then they cut it in half. So it's 20 by 22, because the full width of the fabric is 44 inches. So cut that in half, it's 22. And if you cut half a yard, well, it's actually 18. Half a yard is 18 inches. So it's 18 by 22. If it's a UK fat quarter, half a metre is 50 centimetres. And then the full width of the fabric is 112. So it's 56. So they're around about 20 inches square. Depends whether it's an American one or a UK one. But basically, it's half a metre fabric, half a yard cut in half. So it's a good size, isn't it? In fact, there are loads of books. We've sold loads of them of what to do with a fat quarter. Wendy Gardner and Debbie Shaw both have books about what can you do with a fat quarter. There are so many things where you can join them together and do different things, and it's really nice. It's a way of owning lots of different prints, but you know, you don't always want half metre things, particularly if you're doing like little bits of patchwork or FPP, or you just want to make, or EPP, or you just want to make small little bags or gift tags, Christmas gifts, all that sort of thing. They're perfect for that. Extra wide backing fabric. I love this. They should call this Rupert Bear fabric, because we're starting with the red, because it's got that kind of grid on it that's not even. Makes me think of Rupert Bear's trousers. So the great thing about this is that it is when you're backing a quilt. So that's half of it. Okay. My arms aren't long enough. There you go. 1. No, it's fine, like that. That's how it works. So it's super long. In fact, I'll show you. I did this last time. If I take a pin from my magnetic pin cushion. Sorry, love. Sorry, I'm just pinning it into the lady, but I've apologised. I've come back now. So look how long that is. And you can't even see the lady I've pinned it to. So that's really long. Now, we sell it by the half metre. So you obviously remember, you know, as I said earlier, we cut fabric to order. So that's massive. Yes, that is a really big bolt, isn't it? So it's when you've made a quilt, often it can be more expensive to join fabric, and you don't always want to. So this is ideal for that. So we cut fabric to order. So if you want a metre, put 2 units in your basket. If you want 3 metres, put 6 in your basket. But it's that extra wide, but it's also a cheaper, a much more inexpensive way of buying it. So that's £8.99 for half a metre. and it's really, really wide. So what's the width of this? 280. Wow. Really wide. We've also, so that's the red. I like the fact it has this sort of grid on it, which isn't exactly even, which is nice because I think, particularly with quilt backing, trying to get your backing fabric exactly straight and your top fabric. So it's got that grid, it's got a bit of texture. It's a bit more interesting than having, you know, just a plain fabric. But it's a really good way of backing. So we've got it in the green. But I know this is called backing fabric, but you don't have to back things with it. It is quilting quality fabric. So you could use it for loads, lots and lots of different things. You could even use it for bedding. You could make it for duvets, pillowcase and things, because it is so wide, because it is a pure cotton fabric. So it's great for bedding. It doesn't have to be backing fabric. And we've also got it in black. And again, it has the grid on it. So all the same price, all the same width, but it is actually a really good way. Maybe you want to make a load of cushions for, you know, your caravan or your mobile home, or you want to put them in your... But this would look, yes, it would actually look really nice with that rainbow Alison glass, wouldn't it? But, you know, maybe you're doing a quilt and you know you've got loads of sashing and borders and stuff and you don't want to be joining. It's ideal for that. Or if you're making lots of things, maybe you're making lots of drawstring bags or things like that for a school or for a club or a society. Really good way of buying things. Or maybe, you know, you're in a quilting group and you all wanted to do the same thing. It's perfect for that. So, loads. So that was a lot of tools. A lot of tools. So don't forget, everything that we have done today is on the website. If you click on watch live and scroll down, the newest thing shown is first. So anything we showed at the beginning will be, we have to go right down to the very end. That's the easiest way for you to find what we're doing today. We've had so much today. Brand new Alison glass. We've had the Moda quilt. We've had the two new Hexie cushions, the cheap one and the real one. So I would go and have a look. Remember, it's only 1 P&P per day. It's £3.95. Once you've paid it, you've paid it. But remember, also, if it's in your basket, it's not necessarily yours. You do need to check out. And with the items that we are particularly low on stock in, you might get disappointed. If you put it in your basket, go away and make a cup of tea and have some lunch, come back, somebody else might have taken it. So you do need to check out first. But you can check out as many times as you want. Doesn't really matter. It's still only the £13.95 because it's done from midnight to midnight and then it's all sorted. So stay with us. Stay with us. If you're watching us on Freeview or on telly, just stay with us. If you're on telly, stay with us. Yarn Lane will just carry on as is. But if you are on Facebook or you're on the website, you need to move over to Yarn Lane at 12 o'clock. Really excited for Yarn Lane today. It is the launch of their brand new natural home collection. Honestly, if you want some beautiful quality yarn, totally natural, totally undyed, and the patterns to show you how to make beautiful blankets and throws and cushions, I've got Carol with me, absolute expert knitter, is going to show you how, and I'm going to talk to you about the yarn. Do stay with us. It's going to be a great show. But tomorrow, Sewing Street will be back at 8 o'clock. So at 8, we've got the Esme top with Alison Marion, who's, we've got 2 guests in tomorrow, who's going to show us how to do it. 9 o'clock, the rail fence cushion with Yvonne Makatamani. And 10 o'clock, we've got the winter panel quilt with Alison Marion. 11 o'clock, Yvonne's back with kits revisited. And at 12 o'clock, we've got a whole hour on Elna sewing machines. That's good, isn't it? So don't forget to be there bright and early, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, because I'm sure it'll be another cold day, so you'll need to be in. So I will see you in a few minutes at Yarn Lane. You will love this. It's really interesting. It's a brand new collection. You won't have seen these patterns before, and I've got all the samples. They let me borrow them, so I can show you what they look like when they're knitted up, and they are gorgeous. So I will see you in a couple of minutes.